to 61 Dunstable Road, Chelmsford.
What are the details on that?
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
uninformed.
I don't even,
So do I.
At the meeting of the Board of Appeals on March 3rd, 2016, members voted unanimously to extend the expiration date on the special permit for 61 Dunstable Road. The special permit was granted allowing Mr. Sullivan to make a two-family home on the property. He has not done it. Originally, February 16th, 2010, the application was submitted to create two single dwelling units on a pre-existing non-conforming use. Let's see if there's
so it was
actually-
originally granted in 2010?
Yes, it's been extended on a two-year period till then.
Since,
Mr. Sullivan has said it's a hardship financially for him to do the work. Not seeing any change of, I can, if you'd like, I can read the findings and the facts.
that's, I mean, I was here then, but I don't remember it.
Okay, so the property is located at 61 Dunstable Road. It contains an existing two-family dwelling, approximately 25,000 square feet of land. The property is split-zoned and located in the CB, RB, and CD district. All existing structures are located in the CD district. The structure is currently being used as a two-family dwelling. A variance was granted on December 15th, 1950, to convert the residence from a single-family to a two-family residence. The said variance was not recorded until May 28th, 2004. I'm just trying to pull out the applicable things.
So I'm not understanding the special permit now.
The findings in 2010, the board finds that the existing two-family structure is a pre-existing non-conforming use. The applicant is proper to be filing under Section 195(8)B of the zoning laws a special permit to change the pre-existing non-conforming use. In accordance with Section 198(8)B, the board finds the proposal will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. The board further finds the proposal will have little impact on the area, and the intent and the purpose of the zoning bylaw will be met, and the aforementioned reason will not substantially derogate from the intent and purpose of the bylaw, nor be a detriment to the neighborhood. The proposed two-dwelling unit is harmonious in the neighborhood, which consists of a mix of single and two-family homes. So it sounds like nothing has really changed. I don't know, I guess I should open it up to public comment. Is it,
It's just administrative. Refuse to extend it or not.
are there any questions from the board or concerns?
Yeah, Brian, I was just wondering if we could extend it one or two or three times. Is there a limit?
Not to my knowledge, I don't think.
No, and I did have Evan look at it, and he said the board, it's up to the board, it's your discretion.
So, I guess, why would we keep extending if he's been doing so? Why don't he just come back and reapply when he's
Cost. ready
to do it? Oh,
Cost.
okay.
Well, I mean, this was originally made a two-family in 1950,
Right.
and then for 54 years, it was not recorded. So I think someone finally did their paperwork and stuff. You know, we can't afford to do it, so I don't see what changes
Got it.
from our point of view. Nothing, there's been no,
So
there's no
structurally, there's no
change.
changes in the
As
house?
far as I know, nothing's happened. There's no permit has been pulled.
But with the special permit that was issued, is there drawings that go with that particular
Applicant's
application?
here.
Hi.
Hi. So when I first got the special permit, we had a painting made. I should have brought it, but it basically looks exactly like the same house that's there. And then it's connected by a heated breezeway, a two-car garage, heated breezeway, and then another unit. So it's basically you're dissolving a two-family house and making two condos out of it. But it all had to be connected.
So it is going to be a new structure?
That's what the special permit is for. It was allowing me to build another 2,500 square foot home on the property, granted that it has to be structured. It has to be connected.
Connected, right?
Do you think this two-year extension would be enough time for you to get this done?
I mean, I'm applying for 2 years because I thought it happened in 2-year increments.
No, I think you're applying the correct way. I'm just wondering if you are going to be back here in two more.
I hope
It's
not.
not really going to affect my
but,
decision. I'm just trying to understand it.
I mean, I'd like to go for more if that would be granted, but I can't predict the future. I'd like to think that I'd have the resources to do it within 2 years, but I hope not.
I mean, is 2 years the extension limit? Can we extend that?
No, I think it's up to the board. Normally, the special permits are given for 3 years. The first one that was issued, had that 4-year extension because of the Jobs Act, which I'm sure you're aware of. That extended just all permits statewide. That's why he didn't come back till 2014.
So he
for that
wasn't, it was
extension.
automatic. It was
It was
across the
automatic,
board.
right.
The only thing that concerns me is if there was any, because I don't believe this had to get publicized, right? Because it's
Yeah.
administrative.
Right.
So if there was anything that was changing in the abutters, they wouldn't even know about it. So as this thing continues to go on, suddenly in 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, or 6 more years, suddenly this whole thing pops up, and maybe there's new people living there that if they were more
Unaware
aware.
that this was going to
Yeah,
happen.
that's the only thing that I was thinking about that is a little bit of a concern.
Is it operating as a two-family now?
Yeah,
But it's a single building.
we
Right.
live in the
That's what I
home.
mean, it's not extended.
Right, now you wanna essentially still have a two-family unit, but you're gonna make them look more separate with a connection by the garage.
It would look like
Like
twice, yeah.
two separate houses, pretty much, with the
So it'd be
breezeway
s- It
connection.
wouldn't be a two-family anymore, it'd be a single condo, and this would be another condo.
So it's a whole
Were
new,
there any issues with setbacks and so forth?
No, we had Hancock Associates come out and do all the setbacks and everything, and then we brought that to the table with the attorney, and
So it was a special permit, there's no variance,
Right.
dimensional variance
Right.
granted.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if it was pre-existing or.
Yeah, no, right, it did say pre-existing, so.
I mean, if it's a concern to come in front of you again, I'd be willing to do, if you guys are willing to do a 4-year extension and not come back after 4 years. Because I gotta at some point in time just say, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Move it along or sell it or something. Does that sound like, I mean, we can't,
It's already been 8. It's kind of a long time.
yeah,
right?
be 10
Yeah.
by the time, if we do them 2 more years now, it'll be 10 years, I mean.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I'd go for
Well, it's a
it.
two-family now.
I could
So you
offer,
would-
But it looks like one building.
well, it meets the town's requirement for a two-family needs to be attached, not single units.
Right.
But I could offer that you continue it, and I would do an abutter notification, if that helps you make a decision for tonight.
That make sense for you?
Yeah, I think it kind of does, because, I mean, I don't know what's changed from an abutter standpoint over the 8 years, you know?
Are we at risk of this expiring before our next meeting?
It expires in October, this month.
We'll lose it.
It expires this month.
Then do 2 years,
Do the 2 years, are you comfortable with
just
that?
do 2 years.
Straw poll, does that seem?
Yeah.
2 years seems, a little concerned about going for the 4 years, but I don't want to continue this if it expires this month as well. I mean, I think you know, it's an understandable issue. It's not really changing dramatically with the two-family now, two-family then, so.
What's that?
No notification then?
Yeah, no, not this time.
We can't extend it because it expires this month, so we wouldn't
Oh, I
meet
gotcha.
again.
Yeah,
Right, you're right.
so we'd kind of,
But if he comes back again, we could certainly consider that.
I think we should. I think that should be a note.
You can remind me.
So it sounded an awful lot like a motion, Mark.
I'll make a motion to extend the special permit for 2 years.
Okay,
61 Dunstable Road.
second that.
Second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we are voting 5. So Jamie, you'll be not voting on this, right? Just to be clear for the record.
For the record, I'm not in favor. For the record, I'm not in favor.
Yeah, pause.
You're opposed?
for the
Speak up on
record.
that. So we don't have a unanimous, we have 4-1, which passes. Good luck, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Can't say good luck, 'cause you didn't. That's out.
There's an empty folder if you want to get rid of that. It's in front.
I got my minutes here, I don't want to lose them.
Cost to have a special permit? Does it cost to get another special permit?
Pay something, but I mean, he's got all the plans made already, so.
I mean, why don't he just apply for another permit when it's time to build, when he's got the money to build?
I don't know. I mean, it could be, it's his option to extend it. He has the right to extend it. I don't know his thought process on
Yeah,
it.
but 8 years.
Keep the light on.
Moving right along. Our second continued public hearing is 91 Billrica Road. William Harvey, trustee, for an administrative appeal. And 91 Billrica Road, William Harvey is seeking a variance, 195-9. I have letters requesting to withdraw on both applications. Here is my letter. Let me know when you receive it. This is Chris Sullivan. Chris.
See, that's what I thought. She pulled up September. Hello.
First letter dated September 27th, 2018, to the attention of Colleen Stansfield, 91 Billrica Road, variance application. Dear Ms. Stanfield, the building commissioner, Sean Shanahan, reinstated my building permit for 91 Billrica Road on September 25th, 2018. A variance or appeal hearing is now moot. Therefore, I request that both applications be withdrawn forthwith and be removed from the Board of Appeals October agenda. I think that covers both. I have duplicate copies. So 91 Billrica Road is withdrawn without prejudice.
We need a vote for that.
We need to vote to withdraw?
To
We
accept
need a
it.
motion? Get a motion
Motion
to
to
withdraw?
accept the withdrawal.
Second.
Second by Nancy. All in favor?
I am not
Opposed?
voting.
There's no vote.
So then Jamie, you're voting in favor of? It's unanimous.
So who was the, Jamie?
Jamie,
And
yeah,
then-
Charlie's out.
Point of order, could we get this door closed? We get too much feedback from the hall.
Sure,
I think so, yes.
just ask him to close the door. Next.
Where can I find this one?
The next one also is a continuance.
I just put mine away.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
We have 27 Sunset Ave, Jennifer Patel. She's seeking variance under 195 nonconformity to create a nonconforming lot, frontage, width, and square footage, and any other relief deemed necessary. I have a letter asking for a continuance to the November 1st meeting of the Board of Appeals for 27 Sunset. I think we need a motion for that as well.
I'll make a motion to continue without prejudice for 1 month, 27 Sunset Ave.
Oh, can I ask a question?
Yes.
All right. How many times can they ask to continue it?
So, as it stands right now, the board has 100 days to act on this application, which will be November 24th. So if she continues to November 1st, she either has to show or give the time to extend. The board tends to want to act on it and get it off the docket.
Okay.
So she would have to extend the time to act and ask for another continuance.
All right. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
I'm not voting on this.
And Nancy did not vote
Yeah.
that one, okay.
Not voting on this? No.
No, I'm sensitive.
So then Jamie needs to vote.
Jamie.
But Jamie, we do need your vote on Sunset. To continue to
Continue for
1st.
November, yes.
Yes. Unanimous.
It was 5-0 with your vote.
Yes.
Our next hearing is a new public hearing, Pineville Condominiums LLC. Melissa Robbins is seeking a modification to a previously approved comprehensive permit to change the tenure of the development from rental to home ownership. No other detail of the project will change, and any other relief that is deemed necessary.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, my name is Attorney Melissa Robbins. I'm from the law firm of DeShane and Farrell. I'm here tonight to request a modification of the comprehensive permit. And just, I know there's a couple new members, so just to give a way of background, just a quick overview of the project. The project was approved in February for 52 rental units at 7 Gorham Street. It's also known as 1 Pineview Avenue, sorry. I'm short, so I always sound like I'm yelling. The project as approved allows for a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. And for breakdown, we have 4 1-bedroom units, 36 2-bedroom units, and 12 3-bedroom units. Of those units, 13 of them were affordable. Breakdown of that is 1 1-bedroom unit, 10 2-bedroom units, and 2 3-bedroom units. There was also an order of conditions that was issued for this property. The wetlands for this property are actually the wetland area that's beside 495. It's the culvert that's for 495, so it's off-site, but we still did receive an order of conditions for this property as well. Again, all that was approved in February without appeal, and we recorded that in March. Since that time, we've been trying to get financing for this rental project, and we've been unable to do so. We've been unable to proceed with this project or get final approval from the state with this project as a rental. So we're here tonight seeking a modification of that permit to allow for a change from rental to home ownership units. So what does that mean to this board? No other aspect of this project is going to change whatsoever. So all those things that the board's already negotiated, all of the site civil issues with the exception of sewer, which we will have to meet with them if the board approves that, and Mr. Chair will read that into record later, will not change whatsoever for this project. There'll still be 13 families that are considered affordable units that will get homes within this development. The only difference is they will not be rental units. They will be home ownership units. The big change for the town of Chelmsford is that you will not be able to count all of the units. For a rental project, you get to count all 52. For home ownership, you only get to count the 13 that are truly affordable. And I know that you have comments in your packet from Evan, and his note was that we had already met with the Housing Advisory Board, and the Housing Advisory Board actually was in support of this change because, as this board knows, there's many projects going on in the town of Chelmsford right now that are addressing a rental concern, whether through the Chelmsford Housing Authority, there's another project starting at 50 Hunt Road, there's other projects that have been approved through your CEIOD and BAOD bylaws. But there's no other affordable housing projects out there right now. I think Hillside Gardens just finished, so this would be the only one. And one of the requirements for a 40B permit is to allow for diversity of affordable housing in the town of Chelmsford, and I think this does it. Also, the change in tenure will allow for these units, the market rate units will be an entry-level market rate home, so we're not talking about very high price. So this will be an entry level for people that want to move into the Chelmsford community. What does it mean to the neighbors on Pineview Avenue? That they were the ones that came to your original hearings and voiced their concern. They're a very tight community on the Lowell side, and they had expressed their concern about, one, the gate on Pineview Avenue and not using it as an access. Nothing there will change. That access will still be 100% gated at all times. What it does mean for them, one of the concerns they had raised during the public hearing portion was they were concerned about rental projects and that the people that live in rental projects sometimes don't have the pride of ownership, and the residents on Pineview Avenue certainly do. So I think that actually addresses the concern with this modification, because every single one of these units will be owned. Parking does not change, snow removal does not change, drainage does not change, so I'll spare all of you the details of the site civil issues on this project. What will happen procedurally, what generally happens is that the board takes a vote on whether or not this change is deemed minor or major. And then if it's deemed major, it goes to a public hearing. It has to be noticed for a public hearing. Where 760 CMR 56, which is the rules promulgated under 40B, gives some guidance to attorneys like me on what may be considered a major change. I think this is considered a major change, so I went ahead and noticed the abutters for this evening. So the board will have to take 2 votes this evening. One would be that this is considered a minor or major change, and then you'll actually have to take a vote on whether or not to allow for the change from a rental project to a home ownership project. And again, you can verify that through Mr. Haverty. You don't have to take my word for it. But I'm happy to answer any other questions that the board may have tonight as well.
A question, the management of the property, did you mention that, or did I
The-
miss that?
I did not, no, so the property will no longer be managed. What will happen is there'll be a homeowners association that will take over all private rights of this project. So they would be tightly owned homeowners association. They'll maintain the snow plowing and all of the open space and any other issues that the management company would have been dealing with before.
Now, Melissa, we won't see any change in our safe harbor with these numbers?
Well, the
It
difference.
still meets, it's 39 units, we'll be reducing it by, but we still meet safe harbor?
You're still in safe harbor right now. Oh, no, you're actually out of safe harbor right now. I think you're actually out of safe harbor as of a couple weeks ago, but you will be going back into safe harbor because 104 Turnpike regulatory agreement will be recorded. So you'll actually be going back into safe harbor.
And
So it doesn't affect your safe harbor is actually examined at the time the project is approved, and you get that stamp whether or not projects come in or off your inventory. It's only the 10% that can fluctuate. So you actually are out of safe harbor right now, but with your new units coming on, you'll be back in safe harbor.
I wish Evan was here to ask him this, but I will ask you. The 10% is still attainable with the 104 Turnpike Road. We'll still have our numbers with the 39.
I think you're close with with 104 Turnpike and a couple other projects. I think you were still short, and I want to say it was less than 50 units. It's somewhere right in that number.
I think you said like 59 or
Yes.
58, something like
And that's
that.
been the number
Had a
that-
discussion with him.
So, and you'll still have your safe harbor time in order to get to those units.
It'll start
No, instead of
moving again.
58, theoretically, we'll need just about 100. 96, I think it will be.
Correct, correct.
I think you had referred to a letter or something that Evan had.
There's comments, I'll let Mr. Chair read
Yeah, I
it.
don't have that, okay.
So I'm going to read these in.
Very succinct
Seems
comments
to
from
be the
Mr.
right time.
Bolanski, yes.
This is from Community Development regarding Pineview condominiums. Housing Advisory Board supports ownership units may be a better preferred option. Evan Belansky, 10-2-10. I have a letter here from Engineering. Converting these units to condominiums may require additional sewer and water plans. The applicant must have plans approved by the Sewer Division prior to construction. October 4th, 2018. The Board of Health has no comments. The Fire Prevention has no comments. And those are the letters I have. Before I open this up to anyone that may be wishing to speak on this, do you want to vote on whether this is a major or a minor change? Personally find it very substantial.
Vote on it? Yep.
Could I have a motion to declare this a major change?
I'll make a motion and declare it a major change.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? So this is a major change. Am I getting the feeling that if this is to remain a rental, you'd be unable to proceed with the project?
That's correct.
Well, I'm going to open this up to public comment. If anyone would like to come up and speak, either in favor or against this application, please go to the podium and give us your name and address. Big crowd, no one getting up, okay. How is your timeline with this? I really would like to understand the 10% requirement, as this is pretty substantial 39-unit change to our count. Something like 50% of where we were going is, increased by, maybe not 50, but awful close.
Right, Mr. Chair, well, like I said, when these units actually came on your inventory, they helped get you to the safe harbor. I think it was this, and then the Hunt Road application got to the safe harbor. So that doesn't affect that safe harbor, which has since ended. The 104 Turnpike will get you onto the safe harbor. What happens if you don't approve this modification? I think the units that are currently on your inventory will come off in February. They're good for a year from the date that they go to the town clerk's office. So they'll come off your inventory in February. And will stay on your inventory till I go back to Mass Housing and modify this project during final approval from rental to home ownership. And again, if you don't approve the modification, you end up with the 0 units in February instead of the 13 home ownership units, which the modification would provide for.
Comments from the board regarding this?
I'll make one comment, not specifically, but we have limited space in town to do 40Bs. And I am a little bit concerned about losing that space right there, which has been well, planned, surveyed.
I think it's
discussed
good
and
use of
so
space
forth.
as well.
Yeah.
I think that's,
That's what I'm a little bit concerned about, as we're running out of room to do these.
where do they belong and where?
And now
where
we're
should
getting
they be?
13 rather than 52.
Better than none.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, you are still providing housing for the same number of families
I
that
get
earn
that.
80% of the area median income. It does not change the families you're actually affecting. The only thing the change affects is your subsidized housing inventory.
Right.
Right.
It also would affect the availability of who can buy as opposed to rent.
That's correct.
Who wants to benefit from the services of this community, but just because they can afford to pay rent doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna get approved for a home loan.
That's correct.
So,
No,
I think the
absolutely.
financing issue is because we have a glut of oncoming rentals. The bank is saying there's going to be too many rentals in Chelmsford, and that's why it's not a financeable project. They're preferring the home ownership because they think they can sell the home rather than rent it.
but then we lose the number of affordable housing.
The same number of affordable housing will apply to a homeowner or a renter. The only subsidized units are 13 for each. What we lose is the count. If it's a rental, it counts, all 52 units count. But they don't affect the amount of people getting subsidized units. It's still 13 in either way. So you're getting to count the 52, but would be 39 of those are still market rate rentals. They're not going to someone getting assistance to get that property. They're market rate.
The Housing Advisory Board had submitted the letter that they're in support of this. They feel it's a better use because we do have so many rentals coming online. And that directly is set up with the Housing Authority, David Hedison, who's the director. We don't have a lot of home ownership opportunities in town.
But the same amount of people getting assistance with this, it won't change. So 13 homes can be sold at a discounted market rate, or 13 units can be rented at a discounted market rate. The other 39 are market rate units, whether they're sold or rented.
So if we're staying with the same units, and how does it change that it's
It
not?
changes the count. The way the law works, if you rent, you get to count them all.
Right,
Yeah,
If you
so it is
buy-
changing our numbers.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not changing the amount of
unless you
people that
don't
it will
approve it, then we
help.
get 0.
Yep. Right, you get 0 or 13
Right.
with what we've got here. And originally, you had, Melissa, financing at the time of when we were doing the hearing and when you got approved, you were approved to come in here.
Sure.
With your application.
What happens-
So then you lost it at
You have a
some-
letter interest. That's what you get at the,
Right.
so it's not a commitment letter for financing. You don't actually have to go through the full funding until you have a project.
And how many different folks did you go through to try to get funding?
I think we went through two. We went to Salem 5 and also Lowell.
Right, and we also tried to bring in outside partners and not go through conventional lending. Remember, you're limited
Right.
with lenders that you can only use banks that are partnered through a New England Fund lending program, because that's the public subsidy that comes through for 40B projects. It actually gives the money from the federal government and binds these units in perpetuity. That's the link that makes it so that you can have a deed restriction for these affordable units that last in perpetuity and not one that expires in 30 years. But again, we did try to find some third market people that could come in with cash and also fund this project, and we were unsuccessful in finding that as well. And we think this is a nice project. We think that the board and this applicant went through a long process and negotiated a nice project. We agree with you, this is a nice location for this type of development, and I still think that these market rate units serve the same purpose. The only downside is towards the town of Chelmsford not being able to count the entire project on the subsidized housing inventory. But the same families in that 80% or less of the area median income will still be served with a type of product that's not really going to be readily available in the town of Chelmsford anywhere else.
So yeah, to address yours, it's a good spot. I mean, someone else is gonna have the same issue then.
Right.
Well, unless if they have better luck bringing in other people.
Maybe.
It doesn't relieve you of the requirement. All 40B projects require that 25% of your financing come through a New England fund source. So even if you had enough money to pay for this entire project in cash, you'd still have to find a lender that would do 100% financing of the New England fund portion.
Oh, I get that, but it could be a timing thing too.
Right.
Like you said, there's a bunch of them hitting at the same time.
Yeah, I think
In a
that.
year and a half, 2 years, it may not be the same thing. It may be
But
more
I don't
open
think
to
that
it.
we'll hear this again, because I believe we're gonna get to the 10% quota, so then it won't be able to
Right.
reapply. So it's sort of an opportunity we have now, or not. I mean,
Yeah, right.
that's
No,
the reality of that. Other questions or comment?
I'm just, when was the original plan approved? The original permit?
8 months
Last
ago,
summer?
10 months
Last
ago?
February, okay.
Very recent.
Yeah.
I have a motion to close the public hearing,
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
second by Mark.
Does that discussion, does that mean we have to take no more testimony or
No more
anything?
testimony. Is there other testimony you'd like to
Uh,
consider?
I guess I'm all set.
We can reopen.
No. I'm
Oh, we haven't motioned, so we haven't closed.
Yeah. You good?
That would be the end of the testimony for this
Okay.
application.
I'm good.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Mark seconded.
Second again.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I think we should take this up. I personally think it's better to have the project as homeownership, if not an equal, and am in favor of it. I don't know anyone else's thoughts, I'm not quite sure.
I have a distinctly opposed point of view. I had a hard sell on rentals, and now it's not. And I think those are two different groups of people being served. I don't feel like people are coming in and going, oh, I might rent or I might buy. It's 50-50 either way.
You're getting, I believe you're getting a different client, if you
Yeah.
would. I
Oh,
think that's
yeah.
definite. But there are people looking to buy affordable units in Chelmsford, and there's people looking to buy affordable units in a development like that, so I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of people that choose to not be homeowners on purpose, too. They prefer to rent, you know?
Yes, it's in fact growing rapidly. The rental market is, but obviously from their research, it's hard to finance that, so I think we're deciding whether we're gonna have a project or not.
To the comments we had earlier, I think we're deciding whether we're going to have a project or not right now. It could potentially work out in the future, or maybe it could not, but it's not a definitive statement that if this doesn't get pushed into home ownership, it's going to crash and burn and never come back.
So since we're making, to sidebar here, since we're making this a major change, do we need to send notices out for?
She did.
Oh, she did.
Ms.
Yeah.
Rumley,
You
she
did do
preempted that by
okay.
sending notice out. There were no comments, or, so people that were aware of it, abutters chose not to attend. They were very well attended
Yeah.
in, I'm gonna say February, but when it was approved, there was a lot of people in there. One of their main requests was, we would rather it be homeowners, because we have a very family-oriented neighborhood. They didn't want the renting, and that was their major complaint, as I remember it.
I mean, people could still
Well,
rent them out.
that was definitely one of them.
That's true, a person could still rent it out, but the ownership of it would be theirs as opposed to a rental unit. But certainly someone could buy that and then rent the unit to another person, I believe, unless the condominium
That's what the HOA
rules prohibited
prohibits.
it, but I don't know how that works at all,
Well, that's
beyond our purview.
That's another thought, that whatever we negotiated for how the project needs to be managed by this management company,
That's what, yeah.
if it is now an HOA, how does that carry forward? Like, you know, this gate that they have on the other side, will they forever not use that gate? It's not a management company decision anymore. It's the homeowners getting together, and they could go, all right, well, we like 2 entrances.
And then pay,
Well, it should be in like the
As a point of
bylaws and
clarification,
stuff.
Mr. Chair, we're not seeking any change in those conditions, so they would carry with the comprehensive permit regardless if it's a management company or a homeowners association. They would be required to be part of the condominium documents, which would be approved by Mr. Haverty, and any change in those condominium documents, just as if it was a management association, would be a breach of the conditions of this permit and be punishable by your new building commissioner of a fine of $300 per incident per day for violation of your special permit.
Can we officially hear that statement?
I think a point of clarification is acceptable. I can't take testimony. So.
Okay.
Well, I think that we should put it to a vote if there's not other discussion. If there is, I'd certainly entertain it. So.
I have no other discussion.
Charlie, you set?
The only thing that I'm not upset, that I am upset about is the 39 units. Obviously, we can no longer count those. We'll never be able to count them. There seems to be that there should be some kind of like monetary payment to maybe David Hedison, so he could do some more affordable houses or affordable rentals. But I don't know what that payment would be. But I'm just thinking in that line.
If you'd like to discuss it, you should open up the public hearing.
Oh, no, no.
I mean, we can continue this and ask Mr. Hedison to appear, or Evan, and see if that makes sense, and that we can open the public hearing and talk more with the applicant about, I'm not sure how that would work either, really, just as
It's
never.
gonna be pretty complex.
We do have a payment in lieu that is involved, and there are numbers that are attached to those. It might be something you want to discuss with Evan, the Community Development Director, if that's a option, if they would like to see something like that.
Only if the rest of the board wants to do it.
I think we're a little split on our decision anyways.
Yeah, I do too.
Some new information may not hurt. I like the idea of it. I have no idea if it's enforceable or applicable at this
Me
point.
neither, right.
You know, we're getting 13 affordable units, and we're getting, should this approve, 13 affordable units.
Right.
We were able to count the 39, which
Yeah,
is
of
a
course.
valuable
Real value.
commodity, I
Of
agree.
course.
And it takes us from, I think it was 59 to 96 units we now need. That's pretty substantial. So I guess if there's concern, we can talk to Evan, ask him to appear November 1st.
Yep.
And this, obviously not ideal, but does this affect your timeline?
No, but just a point of procedure, if we're gonna ask for outside testimony, would the board consider reopening the public hearing so we can respond to outside?
Oh, I think that would be the plan, to open the public hearing and then continue.
Okay.
Because Evan would testify as well, so that would be necessary.
No, if you reopen the public hearing, we'd agree to it.
Yeah, I think that's,
So if I could get a motion to reopen the public hearing,
get a motion to reopen the public hearing.
I second that motion.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You in favor?
Sure.
Unanimous?
Like a poker player. And then I would ask for a motion to continue the public hearing until November 1st, 2018.
I'll do a motion to continue to November 1st, 2018.
Nancy,
Second.
seconded by Mark. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
I think I will reach out to Mr. Hedison as well and try to understand his thoughts on how that would work if we were to talk about a payment in lieu. I really think penny for penny, we're getting the same product, my personal opinion, and obviously there's different opinions. So we'll see what David says about I don't know how that works at all. I do understand the payment in lieu of, but I don't know what sort of penalty that you've created. I do understand your hardship clearly, so you know, it's hard to sort it out.
So we thank the board for their consideration. We'll look what Mr. Hedison comes up with, and we'll come back to the next board meeting and discuss it with this board. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'm loving it.
Let's move everything to November 1st. Continue.
Our next hearing is Morose Ave. Larry Gagnon is seeking a variance under 195.9 conformity, 195.10 existing non-conforming lots for release of required footage with lot area to construct a new single-family dwelling and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. She looks very familiar.
Good evening again, members of the board, for the record. Attorney Melissa Robbins from DeShane and Farrell. Also with me tonight is Larry Gagnon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for reading that into record. We are here tonight for variance relief. But I think it's important, just to back up a little bit before I get into the variance standard, to give a little history lesson about how this lot came into creation. This lot, and I brought another one so the board can't see. You can also see my arts and crafts project. You can see that a little bit better than the screen. So all of these lots actually in this area were created through a subdivision or A&R of a land in the 1950s through Edgewood Realty Trust. Then these two lots were bought by, known as 11 Morose Avenue, were bought by Harry and Rita Spears. They lived there for a long time. Mr. Spears passed away, and then Rita passed away. And then after Rita passed away, the lot in the rear, which is actually a separate assessed lot, 255930, the taxes were not paid on that lot. So even though for zoning purposes at that point, they were already seen as one parcel, for assessment purposes, they were separate parcels. 255927 was 11 Morose Avenue, and then this lot was 255930. And just to back up one more point, all of these lots in this area on the Edgelon side, and I'm not sure about the lamplighter side here, these are all now pre-existing non-conforming. When this, I got a history lesson from your planner that when this Waterfield area here was approved by the town of Chelmsford, one of the requirements is that you put protective zoning, the most protective zoning you can, around the zoning district to protect your well fields. But these lots already existed at that time. So now all of these lots are zoned RA. Even though you can see they're more typically laid out as an RC, but that was the reasoning behind it. So when the town actually deeded it out and took the parcel through a tax taking, it was actually done as an RA parcel. So what it did was it left 11 Morose Avenue as a non-conforming parcel and the new tax taking parcel as a non-conforming parcel. And as you could see from the denial letter from your previous building commissioner, Mr. Dupel, he said that it required 3 variances, one for lot area, one for lot frontage, and one for lot width. Okay, the lot area requirement in an RA zoning district is 60,000 square feet. This lot right here, you can see this lot, our lot, is this lot that's outlined in blue.
Right.
So even though that lot is significantly bigger than many of the lots in the area, with the exception of the lot directly to the west, it is now considered pre-existing. It's not considered pre-existing non-conforming because it's a new lot, and therefore a variance is required. Also, the new lot that was carved off from 11 Morose Avenue has 140.8 feet of frontage, where 150 feet is required. So that also is not conforming to the RA zoning district. The lot width question, which I will defer to the board, which I think I stated in my cover letter, I'm not making an administrative appeal of Mr. Dupel's prior decision as to lot width. But at my lot frontage area, my setback of my structure, I actually do have lot width exceeding 150 feet. So if you actually look at the structure that's proposed, Colleen, will you click to that slide? the setback at the width at the setback would be well in excess of 150 feet. So I defer to the board if that relief is necessary or not. And obviously, your new building commissioner, who's much better dressed than Mr. Dupel, may I just point out for the board meeting this evening.
Oh, man.
Can make that determination. And again, I'm not making an administrative appeal of the,
I understand.
but I would like to point out for the board that for my calculations, at the front yard setback from the frontage, you do actually have the 150 feet. I think it's clear that the lot, not just because from the historical and taking perspective, has a hardship owing to the soil shape and topography. I should have pointed out also after the lots were created in 1950, they also got an expressway placed next to them. But because of the taking and because of the ways the lot were created, we have a very skinny entrance now that comes up to Morose Avenue. And I'll point out to the board that due to the lot size requirements in the town of Chelmsford, I'm not allowed to count any of that area up at the front because we have a width that's less than 50 feet, and then the perimeter of that area is more than 150 feet. So that 8,000 square feet at the front of the property cannot be counted. So although I have over an acre of land area here, I think that the total land area is 37,572 of lot area that can be counted in accordance with the Chelmsford zoning bylaws.
Were the 6,000 included, you would be over an acre, over the 40,000.
Yeah, I think that the assessor's card says we're about 1.04. The survey plan we have says it's 46,174 square feet. But once you cut out that little area, we're down to 37,572 square feet. I think, again, from the historical perspective, I think that this lot clearly has a hardship. I think it's interesting and unique to this lot in itself how it was taken from the lot beside it and created the nonconformity through the taking, which not only made this lot more nonconforming and required the variance, but also made 11 Morose Avenue more nonconforming. I don't think that the allowance of this variance will have an impact to the neighborhood with the exception of having a new single-family home because this lot actually exceeds the lot size in the general area. Can you go back to the other slide? Sorry, Colleen.
Okay.
If you actually look at the lots, not only in that area, but the other side of the interstate, you can see that they are much smaller in nature. Again, with the exception of my abutter to the west side there, all of the lots are much smaller. So I think that it is in conformance with the bylaw. Furthermore, the house we're proposing meets all the dimensional setback requirements, so we're not asking for any dimensional relief. From my own calculations, and they weren't engineered, but I did add the numbers together, and we're about 125 feet from any of our closest structures to any of our neighbors once we're constructed. So we've got great distances away from any of our neighbors. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have regarding this variance or the history of how this lot got created. And I think that it's got good grounds based on the soil shape or topography of the slots. I certainly don't think this is substantial detriment to the neighborhood or the town of Chelmsford, and I think that it's in conformance with your general dimensional regulations. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have, and I have Mr. Gagnon with me this evening as well.
The board looks to be pondering. I'm going to read the letters in at this time. We have a letter from Community Development with no comments regarding Morose Ave. A letter from Engineering with an asterisk and an attached letter, which I think reads, connection to the municipal sewer system is required. Financial and connection requirements to be coordinated with the DPW sewer division. Consideration should be made to install roof drain dry wells. The Board of Health has no concerns. The Water District has a note. The applicant will follow the rule and regulations of the North Chelmsford Water District. Sincerely, Bruce Harper, Sr. I have a letter from Fire Prevention from Morose Ave Water supply appears to be adequate. The fire hydrant locations are not shown on the plan. However, the Chelmsford Fire Department requires a hydrant within 500 feet of any building for manual firefighting operations. The nearest hydrant is located between 17 and 19 Morose Ave and is approximately 500 feet from the proposed home. Access for firefighting apparatus and emergency vehicles shall be achieved by a minimum 16-foot wide driveway. This driveway shall be built to withstand the weight of the heaviest piece of apparatus in the Chelmsford Fire Department ladder, 83,000 pounds. The applicant shall submit an application to the Town of Chelmsford 911 Committee and its chairperson, Town Clerk Tricia Druez, for an address. The address shall be clearly and plainly marked as to be visible on the Morose Ave approaching from either direction. This office would approve of this plan with these conditions, and I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully, Daniel Kostafos, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. Those are my letters. Are there any questions from the board regarding this application?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I forgot to point out that I had added a architectural rendering of what we're proposing out there. It is a Cape-style building, as we're trying to keep within conformance of the look of the neighborhood. We did try to put most of the second floor in the dormer of the roof so that it wouldn't be a giant second floor. So it's not as if we're trying to put a gigantic house out there as well. So I just wanted to point that out to the board, and it is included in your packet.
Do you know the proposed square footage of that
I was
home?
gonna ask that.
I think it's less than 3,000 square feet. I'm not sure, with the second floor and the livable areas.
3,000 is what I'd be targeting, 4 bedrooms.
Yeah.
The house would be similar to that. We would have to flip it around for the mat work a lot and things like that. But
Right, the footprint won't change, but that's a similar Cape
trying to
style.
build something that's not gonna stand out as a monstrosity in the neighborhood, but make it
So-
flow.
Sticking with the envelope that's presented here.
Yes.
Okay.
And the access is the driveway along that small skinny
Yeah,
piece.
that must be along that little
The road.
tongue.
So the house will actually be behind
It's up here.
the neighbor.
It's the Morose Avenue entrance is up here, and the neighbor, would actually be, they would be to the back of the edge lawn and then behind 11 Morose. It'd be like a hammerhead lot. More
Okay.
like a hammerhead lot, yes. If you look at this photo, actually, you can see the way that it lays out. It does
Yeah, it's
appear
just
to be
kinda
more of
right
a
there.
pork chop or hammerhead lot.
Additionally,
Let me peek at yours, I'm not connected any
frontage,
longer.
that this lot has on Morose Ave is 141 feet of frontage, and it's larger than 3/4, more frontage than 3/4 of the homes in this neighborhood. Most of them have about 100 lineal feet of frontage. So even though it's got a long skinny driveway, it's got a pretty large opening where it meets the street.
Seeing no immediate questions from the board, I'm going to open this up to public comment. Anyone in the audience would like to approach the podium and discuss this, feel free. Please state your name and address and any comments you may have.
Brian Hooley, 10 Edgelon Avenue. I would be an abutter to the property that they want to put there. And I feel that the water runoff, if a home is put there, is going to run right down into my cellar. We're on a steep incline anyway. They're going to take out some more trees, and I'm going to get water in my cellar. I know I am. And I'm very concerned about that. I'm also concerned about when we go to sell our homes in that area. I don't think that would be something with a home that close to the other homes abutting it on Edgelon. I don't think that would be a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to care to respond, Melissa?
Would I care to respond?
If you do, please approach the podium and ask for your name and address, too.
My name is Larry Gagnon. I own the property. I live on 34 Bridge Street in Chelmsford. Born and raised in Chelmsford, lifelong resident, and very compassionate towards everybody's concerns here. I had a few discussions with some of the neighbors along the way because I spent a lot of time over there since I purchased the land, cleaning up the lot and things like that. And forgive me if I don't remember everybody's names, but I spoke with a gentleman that lives here, and we talked. I spoke with everybody, and the topic came up about water flow from my property. So, And I mentioned that to the gentleman that lives here, that the people that live here and here are concerned about water. And he said, well, all the water from this property comes into his yard. And he actually gets ponding and puddling right in this area on his property. But went on to say it's not really a problem. You know, he has no water in his basement or anything like that. So as far as the impact of water from me excavating in this area, I'd be certain that, you know, no water was directed that way. Because I believe this gentleman lives either here or here, I'm not positive. So, but the water flow.
Am I mistaken, it's very, very sandy soil in that area?
Very sandy soil. It's not steep. It's pretty flat lot if you walked on it, but the topography does fall this way. It's really steep up against the highway like this. So from my land to the highway is probably a 20-foot like bump up.
Right,
And then
that's
there's-
quite a climb from there. I am familiar with the property.
Yeah. But most of my land in this area, the topography would fall off this way. And like I said, this neighbor here claims that the water, sometimes in extreme rain, you know, fall, he would get some ponding right in there. So I personally don't think it'll be a problem, and I would take great care to make sure that when we do a final grade, that things wouldn't change, because I'm not gonna increase rainfall. You know, the same amount of rainfall is gonna land there, and as long as I don't change the grade.
You are gonna change the area that's not gonna absorb water anymore.
Right.
I think that we would probably like to require minimally roof drains and any solid surface drains for that area to have mitigation. You know, whether it be a dry well or something to hold some of that water and let that leach back into the ground as it should, slower.
And Mr. Chair, we would be satisfied with a condition that once we actually have construction drawings and grading, that they'd be reviewed and approved through your engineering department to ensure that
The roof
stormwater.
drains and,
Yeah, that stormwater with our stormwater
impenetrable
design would not be an
surfaces.
issue. 'Cause we don't want to create water issues for ourselves, and we certainly don't want to create runoff to our neighbors.
Right.
That seem a reasonable suggestion, sir?
No, it doesn't. I still think I'll get rain, and the water's gonna run off into mine, despite what you said.
Are you downhill of the property?
If you look from the side, you can see the incline.
I am familiar with the property. I wouldn't be adverse to a site walk if this is
Yeah,
going to be a contentious, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the roof drains can help, but I'd like to understand how the topography works with that area if we're not sure, which we're not.
No.
I can't even get a picture on.
Yes, sir, please approach the podium, your name and address.
Oh, you can.
My name is Michael Winning. I'm 4A Edgelon Ave. I'm the yard that he was talking about. Yes, if you bring it back up there, I can show you I'm the property he was talking
The
about.
other
The water
large
does
broke up
come
lot in the
from,
back?
the water comes from my yard right down my driveway. The grade goes that way. So it's not coming from his lot into mine. It goes straight back down to Edgelon Ave. That's how the water goes. I had to get a driveway done over because it would pool up so much.
There's quite a bit of water that comes through
Can
there.
you,
The
yeah.
water definitely comes because the highway is very high. If you've
Yep.
been in there, if I look out my back, I have that huge wall. It's very steep. The water goes straight down Edgelon Ave, and then there's a huge river going down Edgelon Ave when it rains on a lot. So this water is all going right down the embankment, down Edgelon Ave down here. And we get a big puddle right here sometimes too. There's definitely a water issue with that. I had to get my driveway done over. I've been in the house 10 years.
Yeah.
Ripped up and done over, so it's definitely got an issue there.
That's the highway.
And Mr. Chair, would be agreeable to a site walk so the board could better understand the site and the topography out there as well.
Does that sound like a plan? We'll schedule a site walk?
Yeah.
I would suggest the hour before the meeting, but I think we'd be met with darkness by November 1st, unfortunately. Do we want to think about a day we can do this? And it doesn't seem like it's just on the side of the road, so I think maybe we should all go at once.
It's very clear and wide open. It's easy to walk around on the property.
Helps.
Topography right there.
There's 130 going down to 120 here.
Yeah, 118.
16, 14, so it goes,
So the flow would go
So,
this way.
so it's only 2 to 4 feet off of that, still running down there, huh?
The land, my land is not steep at all.
No, it's 4
The
foot
highway
grade.
is steep. The hill
Right,
on
you
the
can see
highway
the gradient there, it's pretty
is
flat.
not steep at all.
but now
I
we're
mean,
gonna
obviously, the
take up-
water that is on Edgelawn is not your total concern,
Right.
you know.
But certainly compassionate towards people's concerns that, you know, in regard to that.
The engineering letter did suggest roof drains.
Yes, and that's a good consideration for a resolution. I personally don't think there's a problem. I think the ground really absorbs a lot of water, but,
I know it's very sandy soil, I know that for sure.
right. And that's typical of watershed areas, actually. So but like underground, you know, container that will hold the water and dissipate it slowly, that would run off the roof, because that's really the consideration, is what, is what I am gonna create as area that won't absorb water anymore. So if we can slow that down, I'm all for it.
And again, we'd be amenable to a condition that the engineering department get to review our final plans as to our drainage plans to their satisfaction or to this board's satisfaction prior to any construction, once we have actual construction drawings, if the board's amenable to approving this.
Does the sidewalk seem appropriate, or is there resistance? I don't know how this is working.
Yeah, I'll do a sidewalk.
Everyone's comfortable with that?
I'm indifferent either way.
Yeah, I'm good.
We can do at this point, Saturday, the 13th, 20th, or 27th, if a Saturday is a good idea. I think an evening is gonna get more and more challenging with
They
the
probably won't
daylight.
work for me. When do we change the clocks? It's the first weekend
November.
of November?
It's either the last week in October. or
First,
the
first,
I think it's the first weekend in November. The clocks don't
First Sunday.
change.
November 4th.
Yeah,
So we'll be ahead of the clock.
Saturday
I don't know if
night,
it'll be
Sunday.
dark. I mean, we're basically talking about 6 o'clock.
Or we could do a little bit earlier on the first, to do 5:45, and we could give us 15 more minutes of sunlight.
yeah.
Really
That's what I'm
long.
trying to think. Yeah, it's not gonna take that long to look at this.
You said you've already done some clearing already, sir?
I've cleared much of the understory, which there wasn't a lot. It's mostly really tall, over mature trees.
And
Everything, it's, yeah, you could walk around easily.
how long ago did you do that?
Over the past 6 months. And I mow it as a portion of, my property, you know, from the street, it could be misconstrued as this gentleman's grass. So I go in there every other week and I cut the grass, and last fall I clean the leaves off of that section of the yard. But I go in, I cut everything. Plus the lot was overrun with poison ivy and oozing out into everybody's yard, so I eradicated all the poison ivy off of my property, but also the abutter's property. And when I cleared it, literally I brought a chipper in, I piled up all the brush, brought a chipper in. The woman who lives in this house had a huge pile of brush behind her from one of the storms. This gentleman here asked me if I could clear some trees behind his property, so we knocked them down. And this gentleman, the same thing, would you leave this one? I'd love you to take those. We took that. This house here, there was a lot of brush piled up, you know, in his backyard. And even here, there was a lot of dead stuff that I chopped up and dragged out and piled it in my property. I brought a chipper in, I chipped it all. Just really cleaned up the area. There was a shed here when I bought the land. It was kind of dilapidated. I was concerned about safety and stuff, so I took that down. There was piles of concrete rubble here, trash all over the land. Removed it all, just cleaned it all up nice. And now it's, it could almost pass for a park. You could walk around in there, that you wouldn't trip on anything. There's no poison ivy. It's really nicely cleaned up, and it's an impressive piece of land, actually.
So we can do just before the meeting.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna be a 15-minute walk, and then it's gonna be
That's
6
okay.
o'clock, and our meeting's not till 7. So do you wanna do a Saturday, or do you wanna do that?
I'm just a little iffy on Saturdays. I mean, we can
Right,
try
it
it,
doesn't
but I
have to
may
be
not be able to
Saturday,
make it. I
just,
may
you
have to
know.
do it myself.
Is there anything
do-
you'd like staked out for the site walk, so you could see where the house might go, or?
I just want to really get a feel for the
You can see it.
slope in the area. I mean, I personally think that we can mitigate the water and the impervious surface. We've accomplished the goal of the lot, which, you know, it seems like there's enough area there to put in a good-sized dry well or, you know, some kind of water resolving problem there. But I guess we'll leave it at 5:45. At your side, sir, if you'd like to be there, you're welcome to. I don't think we'll be there too long. If Mark has to go at a different time, do you
Yeah.
want to give us permission to enter the property at any point during the month?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
If you can't make it earlier on the,
Just enter
On November
first,
1st.
Yeah.
just take a look and see if you can get a feel for the site.
I think it's gonna turn a nice rainstorm.
We're going to leave the meeting open. You, sir, are welcome to speak, and anyone else that wishes to speak this evening is welcome as well.
Good evening. My name's Wayne Sullivan. I reside at 11 Morose Avenue. The direct house that abuts this property.
Right there?
When I bought the property, I believe it was listed as non-buildable. And then the town took it over, taxes, all that. If you could pull up his sketch of what he wants to do for the house.
Oh, I guess there's a sketch there. That's right there.
No, this one.
Oh, okay, the footprint.
Yeah, the
Back to the
The plan.
Site
Oh,
plan?
plot plan.
This nail set he had was in my driveway in front of my garage.
The what?
It was in my driveway. This mag nail set that he says has 70.54 feet.
Yep.
That was in my driveway in front of my house. So that lessens his frontage right here to at least, 48 feet, 50 feet here?
Well, unless you have an engineer that says that engineer is wrong, your driveway may well be on his property. His engineer is certifying that that is the property line there.
What, so there's a radius on my property?
That's what the engineer is certifying, and that, you know, he's saying this is the property. And he's saying that that nail is the edge of the property line.
Well, you have this property line going straight out. How is that the edge of the property line?
I'm just going by what the engineer
That's
has
what the engineer
certified.
has pointed out, right? There's a point, there's a point, there's a point, and there's another pin in the street.
So what does that curve on the drawing?
I have no idea what that radius point means.
It appears to me that's the property line. The 10441 is the length to the radius. The tangent 2824 is a direct line to find that point. But what he's suggesting in that plan is that radius is part of the property of the rear lot.
How, I don't understand, how is that his property's on my property? When I bought that,
According to this engineer,
so something.
your property is on his property.
Well, so how do you, I don't understand how that works.
If you could find a surveyor of your own to have it surveyed, and he finds that that is not accurate, then you would have a civil matter between the two. As it stands, this little mark here, that you can see, that little twist,
Yeah.
shows that there is a pin in the place, and that was done during the first subdivision. So
There's a pin in
these
my
guys
driveway?
take 20 years to get licensed. They have to go back through all sorts of
Oh, I
paperwork.
know, I do this, I put in road work and stuff like that for a living.
But you don't go back and research it, though,
No,
over
I
the 50
know.
years, so.
But what is the frontage that's needed to, how are they gonna get into the property? Just a driveway?
Yes, he has 70.54 feet in which to enter his property from that roadway.
Is that considered frontage, though?
Mhm.
It's
Well,
not
that's
considered
why
road
they're
frontage.
here.
Yeah, it is.
That's considered road frontage. The 70 feet is considered road
The
frontage.
70 plus the 70 is,
Yeah,
so
there's
he's got
two
140 some odd.
There's 140. 70 up,
Maybe
70
you can
over.
scroll down a little so we can see that as well.
Sorry.
Are we at the end of the copy there? There we go. So his property runs with an angle, that not 90 degrees, but some sort of angle there, and that's all considered frontage. The 70.34 and the 70.54 make his frontage, because that's on the roadway.
It's just not straight line.
Yeah, I understand that. What is the zoning,
It would be 150.
150, so
Yeah.
he's short, so he doesn't have the frontage to
Right.
get.
That's what he's
That's
asking, the
why he's here.
variance.
That's why he's here.
That's why he's here.
In
What
front
is-
of this board. He's
So he's gonna
appealing that.
rezone it?
No, 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 no.
No.
He's,
He's looking for a variance.
yeah. If he gets a variance, then he's okay with his frontage. That's what
Right.
he's asking for, relief from the 150.
So I'm gonna have a driveway 15 feet off my house.
Well, I would think that Larry wouldn't put it that close, I mean.
Well, how else, he's only got 40 feet to get a
As
driveway in
well,
there.
he can pave up to his property line. That's legit.
Well, I just wanna state for the record that I'm opposed to this going back there, because when I bought the house, it was listed as non-buildable.
And with relief from zoning, it could become buildable.
The whole reason I bought the house was because it was non-buildable. That's what they call a pork chop lot, isn't it? Flag lot.
No, sidewalk sounds appropriate at this point. We're gonna come out the
Okay,
1st of
sorry,
November.
I need to get a surveyor then, is what you're saying?
If you dispute
you're
the property
questioning-
line.
I'm disputing it, yes.
If you're questioning that, you would need a surveyor to, we can't
Yeah, I know
appreciate your
you
word,
can't.
but
Yeah, it's
we,
completely up to you.
I know no more about it than the surveyor tells me, and he's stamped it as an engineer saying
Okay.
this is accurate. You are more than welcome to have a surveyor confirm it or come up with a different, a different scenario.
Okay.
I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that would be.
And I'm happy to
If there's
give you a copy of
discrepancy, it
this.
would
This
go
is
to land
public
court,
record.
and you could
Yeah,
decide
I
it.
have one back there.
I gave him a copy
Oh.
2 months ago.
We're gonna do a site walk, and we'll meet again on the 1st and look at
Is
that.
that a
And
weekday, or is that gonna be the weekend?
it'll be a Thursday.
It's always Thursdays. The
Just
meetings
before
are
the
always
meeting.
Thursdays. First Thursday of the month.
Okay.
November 1st.
Thank you.
I guess for a clarification, even if his surveyor comes back and says that this is wrong and he's got 15 feet less, he's still trying to get a variance for not having enough frontage. So
Right, it goes,
he could get the variance for 140 feet or 130 feet if we chose to give him that variance, so it's not really a,
But just on
Although this is
technicality,
the stamp plan that's part of
Yeah,
the
this-
application,
Yeah.
so.
this is what's required as part of
So,
the
right,
application, so
so-
you have to take this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's a civil matter between the two parties. There's
if
nothing.
there is other evidence that says differently than this, we consider that as well. I think at that point, it would probably be continued, and they would solve, they would go and decide in land court who has actual ownership of that property. It's not our concern. I mean, we're just going with an engineer's plan is usually accurate, but never infallible, so. He certainly has the right to get a survey and
But that-
decide what he sees.
but that's for them outside of this proceeding.
Right, right.
That
At
has
this
no
point, we're
bearing on-
looking at, the only evidence we're looking at is the stamp plan we have.
Okay.
If he has another stamp plan that conflicts with those,
Yeah.
it'd certainly be evidence to consider.
Actually, that's not part of the application that was submitted to you to consider, a different stamp plan.
But then we'd have doubt about the plan.
But it
It
could be
would end
presented.
up being a civil matter, like you said.
Right, but we can consider, we could look at it and say, there's a conflict here, and with that, we have to, decide what we're granting. We can't grant a variance when we don't understand what we're doing.
I'm not sure about that. Do you have any?
Where's our
That would be a
attorney?
question for Paul
I know,
Harry,
we
because it
need
wouldn't be
Where's Harry?
being submitted by the applicant, so I'm not quite sure that
Yeah,
it
so we'll
would be
just have to
considered.
wait. I think the best thing is if
Call
the
the lawyer.
survey's gonna be contested, that it be done before the 1st.
Right, and they still have a 21-day appeal period.
Right, no, but I
after
mean,
a
it
decision is
would,
rendered.
it would be
so.
helpful, but, forget it.
Kind of hard to approve anything if we're looking
Can they
at.
consider it outside?
Accurate.
We really have
Well,
to
we have to
accept
assume
this
this
as
is. We have to
gospel.
assume that is accurate.
Without evidence to the
stamped on it.
contrary.
It's stamped,
and
it's a
a
stamped
homeowner's
plan,
statement that
so,
he doesn't think
yeah.
it's right is not enough. But that's a stamp plan by a civil engineer, and they,
Although the interesting thing is
Take
that
it
your
pretty
plan's
seriously.
different than the one I've got.
The other thing you had, the property map with the blue line on it, did that show a curve? The
The only
The
curve I see
GIS.
is the
that was a
road.
town
The road
GIS,
turns right,
the locust plan.
so the road turns right here.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, see,
It's
the
unclear
road
if there's a
turns.
curve
It
there.
shows the curve, it doesn't show
it.
the,
Doesn't show
The
it.
inverse curve on
Yeah.
the.
Not on
correct.
his, no.
but this is a GIS, that's certainly not stamped or
It
certified
shows it a
either.
little more clear.
Yeah, that shows it straight. You don't have that.
And
little
again, these
twist.
GIS maps can be off as much as 15 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
it's
get that.
it's just a good estimate.
Yep.
That's why we require the survey stamped.
Okay, so I'd like to continue this until the site walk,
I'll make a motion to continue Melrose Ave for,
5:45 on the 1st.
I second the motion to
with the,
continue.
with the sidewalk at 5:45 for November 1st.
There's a question.
You can speak,
What's the town ordinance on the construction? Is it 7 o'clock always?
yes, sir.
Because I work nights, 6 to 2 in the morning. I work in Boston. I get home around 3. When my neighbor was doing construction, Mr. Tran, it was terrible. When they're working at 7 in the morning, I'm only asleep for 3 hours, and they're digging up and beeping. And is there any way to change that for a few hours more, at least extend it during the construction of this project? Because it's very difficult when you're trying to sleep for months at a time with, Monday through Friday when I don't get home till 3 in the morning.
I do understand your concern.
Certainly requested as part of the
Something, I mean,
Sure.
I know
Is
that
that
the
our
house is
purview,
going in,
Sean?
but it's terrible. I work
I
nights, Larry.
I can work with you a little bit, till maybe not till start at 10, but we could
We did it
start
on
at
Pine View.
8:30 or 9.
We did on Pineview?
Yep, Saturday,
Oh, but that
limited
was,
hours.
that was the whole,
Well, why don't we wait to see if this gets
Backing
granted?
up the
Yeah.
excavators, the nail guns.
It certainly can be a condition in your
Yeah,
street.
right. This isn't granted, so,
Not at all.
The developer and the homeowner and come up with a mutually agreeable.
try to set some standards that can be enforced.
I
Okay.
think they
Well,
just
Mr.
did.
Chairman,
And he seems
the applicant
amenable.
seems inclined to allow for some leeway there too, so that not to
Yeah.
start construction early. So we can work that out as well, come back with a proposal for the board for condition on the first.
Just need to
if the
make
board's
sure that
amenable to
the
allow.
structure's not gonna increase the negativity and negative impact that's currently occurring in that neighborhood with the rain.
Well, I think we can mitigate the water. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of options now to hold water and store water and let it
Right.
release back in.
We just gotta make sure it's,
I mean,
that's
the
considered to be done
requirement
with the
is that no
planning.
water leaves your site now anyways. No water should leave your site overland.
Right.
So that's still enforceable. So we're halfway through a motion, we'll follow
Yeah, the
that.
motion was to continue this to our next scheduled meeting, November 1st, Melrose Ave,
Gonna do the 5:45
and the
site walk.
5:45 sidewalk.
I second the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
They're not on yet. 8:30? No, like 8:30,
All right, next,
That's what I'll be looking at.
So, I know.
I can just put it up right here.
I guess my.
next application is 132 Dalton Road. John and Sarah Kivlin, they are seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to construct an addition which will increase the square footage over the 10% allowable and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. John Kivlin, 132 Dalton Road.
Sarah Kivlin, 132 Dalton Road.
So, we're back. Hello. So, what we're proposing to do is we'd like to put basically it would turn out to be like a master suite for Sarah's parents. We'd like to bring them into the home with us, have them there. Some differences from when we were here last time. We're not pursuing the apartment designation, but we still have eliminated the second front door that was there before. We've ensured that we've shortened the length of it. We've eliminated the shed part because, as you know, the line runs diagonal backwards, so we've ensured that there's the 12 feet to the line, which again, from the line to the street is an additional 5 feet, so we're talking about 17 feet. We've ensured that that's continuous all the way down, and we don't have that overage that we had in the past on the last plan.
So we've met the original lot requirement of 12 feet.
Yes, sir.
And we have removed the front door, and we're no longer looking for a limited accessory apartment.
That's correct.
Do we want to go over the details of the last meeting? Is everyone familiar with them?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay, I'm not going to need to read any letters. Is anyone in the audience like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this application? Please state your name, sir, your address, and any concerns or comments.
My name is Thomas Brothers. I live at 134 Dalton Road, and that's to the right of the Kivlin house.
I lived there with my wife and family for the last 25 years. And I feel, and my wife feels, that there'll be little or no impact with this addition to 132. I don't see any reason that we would object to anything here. I applaud John and Sarah for doing what they're doing. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Robidoux. I live at 135 Dalton Road. I live directly across the street from John and Sarah. On a selfish note, I don't know if people know, John's a first responder. I had a 2-year-old niece that went into a little, I don't know, shock or seizure, and John's the first person across the street. John was also the first person to welcome me into the neighborhood. I had some pipes break. I was at work. My girlfriend runs across the street. John comes over, shuts off the water for the house. John and Sarah are not only wonderful neighbors, but they're wonderful people. I've looked at the plan, what they're trying to do here. It's a great plan. If anything, it's going to increase property values for the neighborhood. It's a beautiful design, and I'm very much in favor of it, so I would hope that you would approve this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Melissa Brennan. I'm at 126 Dalton, and I just want to say that I completely approve of this plan. I think it's awesome what John and Sarah are proposing to do to bring their family in, and I think it'll have no impact on us. I think it's a wonderful plan, and I just want to say I approve for it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or concerns from the audience? Seeing none, gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
A second by Steve. I know there were concerns from board members on the last application.
Is this a new application, or?
It is, yes, it is a major change, so it's a new application completely. It's no longer a limited accessory apartment, so the square footage, which wasn't a concern, is not. The front door that was a concern is no longer, but they have removed it regardless. And they have stepped the addition back an additional 2.5 feet from the roadway, meeting the requirements of the original neighborhood layout. I don't know if.
So the only variance they're requesting is the over 10%, because they meet frontage and everything
Right, that's their only request at this point. It's just they've exceeded the 10%, and that's what we're approving. That's the only, I'm going to say variance. It's a special permit at this point.
Yeah.
Are there concerns? Questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second on that? This is Steve, excellent. All in favor?
Aye. Yay.
Good luck with it. John, can I just ask you if Melissa's still out in the hallway? Her thing is here. We're going to just take 5 minutes, too. I don't know if Melissa Robbins is still out in the hallway there. That's her thing. I just want to grab her. She's there.
Okay.
We're taking 5 minutes? What? I had the worst.
You got
I had
5
the
minutes.
worst day of the entire plan.
No, it takes away, but the other thing too is.
Oh.
Somebody's gonna do.
I have actually some pills I could give you the calcium and sodium.
Put on my sling box, but. The 13th.
Okay, we're gonna get going
Leave the
again.
door open?
Yeah, well, I think
Next
now that we're
application is
downsizing-
5965 Princeton Street, Princeton Court Apartments LLC. They're seeking a variance under 195 nonconformity for relief of floor area ratio to construct a new 18-unit apartment building and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. I have a letter from Mr. Hausler requesting to continue until November 1st, and I would need a motion to do that.
That's the Princeton Street?
This is the Princeton Street application. We have a motion to continue to November 1st.
I'll make a motion to continue,
Request.
make motion to continue 59 to 65 Princeton Street until the November 1st meeting.
I'll second that.
Jackie, all in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you. We had, one of the neighbors raised a concern. We found out at 7 o'clock, so we want to meet with that neighbor. That's the reason.
Address them.
No,
I
we'd rather
appreciate
address
that.
it.
Thank
Good
you.
idea.
We have no one recording?
It's video.
I think she
Oh,
just
but
jumped
she
out
has
of
to
it.
write that down.
Can't you just
She
watch
just,
the
she just
video?
handed me this.
That's what she usually does.
She was busy working while you were taking a break.
It's a union thing. We got a break. She on the
did?
floor?
Not under
She's not under there.
What happened to
All
Colleen?
right, so we'll have her make sure to make note of that. I think it'll get,
That's interesting.
Vicious. Somebody from Pineview was outside. They didn't know to come.
Oh.
Sorry, what are we looking at now?
Just did a continuation on Princeton.
Oh,
Did you see everyone
On
from
Princeton.
Pine
They're still sitting outside?
that's way back.
Just a continuation to November
Yeah,
1st
but
on Princeton.
the people in the audience who would have wanted to speak, they're apparently all out in the hallway. and-
That seemed kind of
Now we're at 83 Westford.
Or we continued that anyway,
Yes.
November's gonna be busy. November meeting's gonna be busy.
better take, what is that, like, stuff you can bear? I think a 12-month hiatus. My husband's leaving for a year on Tuesday, so. He's leaving 12 months. No, I'm serious. He's leaving on Tuesday for a year. And I haven't been able to find a babysitter.
Our next application is 83 Westford Street, Paul and Jennifer Hardy. They're seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to construct a new 25-foot 6 by 9 mudroom addition and a side garage addition with bedrooms on the second floor, 26 by 30, to a pre-existing non-conforming structure on a pre-encroach on the side setback and any other relief deemed necessary. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Douglas Hausler from Lampert, Hausler and Rodman for the applicants, Jennifer and Paul Hardy. Paul Hardy's with me this evening. This was formerly Dick Birkinshaw's residence. Paul and Jen bought it recently and are trying to relocate their family into that property. You know Paul very well from the Blake Funeral Home and the absolutely beautiful job he did based on some of the zoning relief you've given him in the past on that site. And he's looking to make improvements to the existing single-family home now that's at the corner of Brentwood Road and Westford Street on the westerly side of Brentwood Road. Somewhat like Melissa ran through with you with one of the applications this evening, I think a little history here is important. The original 8 lots of Brentwood Road, when it was an original cul-de-sac, was started in 1953, I believe, and we've provided you with the subdivision plan. And at that point in time, all 8 lots were under a half acre. It's one of the exhibits, I believe it's exhibit either B, you'll see it in my package that I've submitted to you. The lot we're talking about.
Shrink it.
Can we shrink that a little?
Shrink it down?
Yeah.
It's the opposite way. We're going to bring it down this way. This is the lot we're talking about. So if you're coming from the center of town out onto Westford Street towards Roberts Field, and you're going, thank you very much. So you're going out to Roberts Field. This is the turn onto Brentwood. It's the corner lot, and it's mounded. It's a.
Yeah.
I think most of you drive by it. I guarantee you 100 times. Beautiful home. A little on the small side for a family of 4. The Burgershaws lived there. They were a childless couple. They lived there for many years. But you'll notice all the lots are about 17 to 18,000 square feet because they were all established prior to the RB zoning that got implemented in that part of town. So anytime anybody does a single thing requesting any kind of improvement to any of these lots, they're going to have to come before you for a variance because it's a non-conforming structure.
Pre-existing non-conforming.
Pre-existing non-conforming. So this particular case is interesting because they're trying to keep as best as they can within the limits of the existing structure, and they're just really going upwards above the garage. Now, one of the things you'll notice if you ever drove by it is when you turn onto Brentwood, you'll see that the driveway into the garage is somewhat of a little hill.
Quite steep.
It's pretty steep. So what Paul and his architect have designed is how to take advantage of that by bringing it more to grade level with the road, not obviously flat with the road, but grade level. It brings it down to 3 or 4 feet, and then build a second floor above the garage, which will house, as we showed in the housing plans, in the drawings, 2 bedrooms and a sitting area and a bathroom. It is the best location upon which we can expand that home with being the most considerate of any neighbors. The expansion is going to be facing literally Brentwood Road or Westford Street. It's not really affecting any neighbor because it's separated by roads on at least 2 sides. The neighbor on the further west side is unaffected by this expansion upwards. And we have not received any word from anybody behind their house of any objections, although we'll find out tonight if somebody's here. I haven't been approached. Just to keep it short and sweet, I think the shape of the lot is somewhat a hardship because it was created as a subdivision before the implementation of zoning. And quite frankly, our zoning bylaw needs to be revised because of exactly this kind of a problem.
Doug?
Yes?
It's a special permit.
Oh, variance special permit.
No, it's a special permit under,
No,
you're right, I'm sorry.
I think
What
it's
is
both. We phrase it as both, just to be safe.
It's a special permit.
19582, he's going over the 20%,
We're going over the 20%.
something we see all the time.
So we're looking for the relief just to allow them to expand and we've given you the design of the structure. The plans are Exhibit D, I believe.
Very modest.
Very modest.
That it's adding to the.
780 square feet upwards, I believe. A total of about 1,000, I think, plus or minus. And it's mostly above the garage. Then the breezeway that connected the garage to the main house, that area is being rebuilt so that it can accommodate the second floor access points.
Right.
Yep.
So that's where the additional, some additional square
The
footage comes
entryway
in.
will be the stairway.
It's
to
an
the
entrance
second
way
level as
to
well.
get to the access.
Good idea.
I think it's going to be a real benefit to the neighborhood. It's going to be a beautiful designed home. And everybody knows the job that they've done with Blake Funeral Home. You know it's going to look just as well, if not better, as their primary residence. I'd hope you grant the requested relief. And we're here to answer any questions you may have.
With that, are there any questions from the board regarding this application at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to ask if anyone in the audience has questions or concerns regarding this application. Please approach the podium if you do. Seeing none,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
a second.
Second.
Second by Nancy. All in favor? Aye. Questions from the board regarding this application?
Oh, do we have letters?
I do have letters, I'm sorry, I'm going to read those right now. From Chelmsford Fire Prevention regarding 83 Westford Street.
Point of order, just because you just took a vote to close, you have to reopen, I believe, just to be safe in the
Technically,
record, technically.
this is testimony.
Have a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Motion to reopen.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank
Oh,
you,
you're
Dan.
right, Terry, you're right.
We got to do it right.
Second, all in favor?
Messed up.
Hearing is reopened for testimony. Going to read the letters. Fire Prevention, ZBA 83 Westford Street. This office has reviewed the proposal for an addition at 83 Westford Street and finds the following. The entire home and existing new construction shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51 standard for new construction. The home shall have hardwired interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. 3 copies of the plans that clearly show all required life safety devices shall be submitted to this office as part of the building permit plan review process. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions. Ask the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Daniel Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. I have a letter from Center Water with no concerns. I have a letter with the Board of Health with no comments. I have a letter from Engineering with no comments. And I have a letter from Community Development with no comments. Those are the only letters I have. With that, I'd entertain a rapid motion from Charlie.
Motion to close the public hearing again, please.
Do that over.
I'll
Nancy?
second it again.
Thank you.
Second again by Nancy.
Redo.
All in favor?
Aye.
Further discussion regarding this application?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I don't see any concerns. It doesn't really change the footprint dramatically. That seems more of a paperwork issue.
I would like to make a motion to approve the special permit for 83 Westford Road with consideration of all the letters read into record.
Second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you for your time, appreciate
Well,
it.
now it's
Take
good.
care.
Have fun.
Better late than never.
Steve, we haven't had good luck with that, for
I
a
did.
while. Oh,
I
did you?
just- yeah.
Okay, jeez, I missed it, damn it. You have a replay?
Making some progress here.
Did that standard?
Did I
Is that
grab it?
standard? Good
Yeah.
luck. You're the good luck guy?
It used to be Brian, but now he can't do it because he's the chairman. He can't.
Encourage.
He had to bequeath the good luck to,
And so you become the holder.
Our next application is 272 Old Westford Street. Laura Lindberg. She is seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to construct an 8-foot by 30.4-inch farmer's porch, 30-foot.4-inch farmer's porch on a pre-existing non-conforming structure, front setback, on a pre-existing non-conforming lot, lot area, frontage, width, and any other relief deemed necessary.
This was my mistake. This is
Yeah.
because it's a commercial use, needs to be seen by the planning board. So she's been rescheduled. She won't be in front of this board at all.
So I need a motion to withdraw? No?
I honestly don't know.
Just make
This
a
one I'm
motion
not sure
to
about.
Withdraw from Board of Appeals.
Yeah, I
and
might as
go
well.
to Planning Board.
Non-consideration?
No, yeah.
Have a second on that?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Easiest one tonight. 251 Dunstable Road. Matthew Cassie is seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to demolish a structure and build a new 1,604 square foot single-family home and a new 102 square foot side garage. 102 square feet?
No, this is, I don't know where the 102 number came from, but it's 400 and, the total footprint is that 1,500 square foot number that's in here.
Are we in any trouble with our advertising?
No, because we over-advertised. If the garage is, if the garage is,
1,600,
that includes the garage.
that includes the garage.
And we
Okay,
over-advertised.
okay, the footprint is 1,604 feet.
It's a single-level home?
No, okay, the square footage on the home is 2,056 square feet.
I think we need to re-advertise.
Yeah, this says
No,
16
it's the
single.
footprint.
It didn't say, it just says
It says
1,600
1,600 square foot home.
1,604 square foot, single-family home.
with an home, a new 102 square foot side garage.
So that would be 1,706 if we added them together, not 2,060, whatever.
I think this
Right.
needs to be re-advertised. Sorry, so we're gonna have to continue this. It wasn't advertised legally?
Okay, can we just do the math on this, just, okay, because it may
Yeah,
be
maybe I'm not
correct.
understanding.
Yeah,
That's great.
Okay, if you took the foundation plan, okay, that would be 1,028 feet. And the garage, which is 2222, if I'm doing math right in my head, is 484.
Right, that is correct.
Okay, so 484 and 1028 is where I think that number came
184.
from. Pardon me?
That would be 1,984?
No.
16.
No, 16.
I'm gonna put my first number. Oh, 1028, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's over advertised, yeah. Okay, it's 15 something.
But then you have another floor.
Right.
Right, but we're looking for the variance for the footprint, correct?
Yeah, but it's the advertisement, the
You're
total
gonna have to
structure.
What this says
Yeah.
specifically is a 1,604 square foot, single-family home. We can't approve 1,605 square feet for your single-family home.
Do you want to go
This
through
has to be, the problem is it wasn't advertised correctly. It wasn't
Okay.
a question of, it doesn't
No,
affect
no,
anything other than,
I understand.
I think that we can.
So with the
continue to
upstairs,
November
what would
1st
it be?
With the upstairs, it's 2,056 feet, okay, of living space, and then 484 for the garage.
Like 1,000 feet off. I mean, it just.
Yeah, yeah,
if
no,
someone appealed it, you'd
yeah, no,
lose.
it's just a modest colonial, is all it
Make
is.
sure that it gets upright.
Yeah,
Oh, I would entertain a motion to continue. Have we opened the hearing technically?
Yeah, I mean, it just needs to be.
I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing until November 1st and have it re-advertised with the correct square footage.
This is
Sorry.
251 Dunstable?
Could I
Yes.
interrupt for a second?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm here in favor of his proposal, and I really have trouble moving around. So I just want to,
You don't want
my
to
name
come
is
back.
Augustus Scammers. I live at 257 Dunstable Road, Kingsborough. And I got a letter to appear here. It's gonna be kind of difficult if I have to come back again.
I would not ask that you come back. I might suggest just in the proper, just send us, if you do email, or just a letter that you could even hand to that gentleman, and just say that I'm in favor of the project as it sits. We really, I don't think, can hear testimony, I don't know.
You opened it.
It'd be better if you didn't, but if you just wrote it on a piece
Yeah,
of paper,
that would be better.
great.
That would,
Thank
that'd be
you.
the best thing.
I'm sorry to drag you out. I
Sorry, Bob.
understand you're, nobody wants to go out. It's hard to walk.
I need to accuse myself for this one, the Graniteville Road one.
Okay. So do we have a motion to continue?
I'd like to make a motion to continue 251 Dunstable Road to the November 1st meeting.
And a second.
Second.
Sorry, Nancy. It's kind of like a second. All in
Nobody does
favor?
that for my motion. Aye.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, young lady.
You have to read it first, and then.
Amen.
Withdrawal.
No, I think you can accuse yourself now.
Okay.
Us?
Our next hearing is 129 Graniteville Road.
We have a
Joseph
recusal.
Barilla. He is seeking a special permit under 195-8E2 to construct a new side garage addition, 30 by 30, and a master bedroom, 35 by 40, to a pre-existing non-conforming structure on a pre-existing non-conforming lot area and front setback, which will increase the square footage over 30% allowable and further encroach on the side setback and any other relief deemed necessary. Jamie Brown is going to recuse herself from this hearing, and we will hear it with a board of 5. Good evening.
How you doing? So I'm just looking to do, it's basically a garage addition. On the advertisement, I noticed, I think it's at a 35 by 40 master bedroom. It's a 20 by 24. I'm sure my wife would like a 35 by 40, but it's not in the budget.
So you're, in your case, you're undersized on the application. So
Yeah,
we can hear that, then. We don't
Yeah,
need to
as long as I do
re-advertise.
it over.
Yeah, so the garage is 28 by 28 and the master bedroom's 20 by 24.
Okay.
It's a 3-bedroom ranch now. We have 2 kids. We're just looking to get a master bedroom and a garage, a little more room.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, maybe I didn't understand it right, but I'm not looking to go in the side setback at all. So it's gonna meet the setback requirements.
25.5.
So you're not asking for dimensional relief,
had-
you're just looking for the 30%.
Yeah, I think you had several different plans you were going through, right? Is that
No,
right?
so I actually noticed on the thing, there was my plan's on there,
What
then
do we
there's
got
a
there now?
second.
Let's just look and see.
It says lot area in front, and what,
Oh,
you
you're
don't need
right.
front. Yeah,
Oh, he's
fro-
not going into the side setback.
Yeah, and it's in the front as pre-existing that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we're just looking at relief for the 30%
yeah.
allowable, and that's it.
'Cause it said lot
Yeah,
area.
so that would be it. It's not a dimensional, it's not a dimensional at all. It's a special
No, I
permit
did. These are
Yeah,
all-
for lot area, right?
for the lot area.
Yeah.
Correct. Any questions from the board regarding this application?
No, sir.
That is good, because it's confusing. At this point, I'm gonna look and see if we have any letters before I open it up.
Colleen, I did notice when I looked at the agenda, there's another house plan attached to this with mine. Mine's on there, but I'm not sure. It's like for a colonial or something that just seems to be in with all the stuff.
Building another house.
There was a lot of applications this month.
No, that's all right.
Maybe.
I'm gonna read the letters in.
Oh,
The
yeah.
community
Yeah, I
development
see the cloning.
has no comments regarding 129 Granville Road. Engineering has notes. The proposed addition will be over an existing sewer service. The applicant must contact the DPW Sewer Division for permits to move the sewer service. A road opening permit will be required for work within the town's right-of-way. Special attention will be required for the sidewalk.
So, anything I can show you on here, the existing sewer comes out the rear and comes around this side of the house. There's no sewer on this side. It exits right about.
As long as you're conforming with the engineering, it's fine.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
It
Yeah.
sounds like there were several plans that may have considered another thing.
They just want to verify that with you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was just gonna
You just
say.
get on and talk to them and say, this is where the sewer is, we're not disturbing it, we're not moving it, and then you'll be all set.
Sounds good.
The Board of Health has no comments. Center Water District has no comments. And the novel from the fire prevention. Dear members of the board, this office has reviewed the proposal for an addition at 129 Granville Road and finds the following. The entire home, existing new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51 standard for new construction. The home shall have hardwired, interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. 3 copies of the plans that clearly show all required life safety devices shall be submitted to this office as part of the building permit review process. The applicant has advised that plans must clearly show all life safety devices required in the existing portion of the home. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Dan Kostofis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. And that is the end of my letters. I'm going to open up to the audience and see if anyone has any questions or concerns regarding this application. Seeing none,
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Jack Rabbit Charlie. Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
It's simply the square footage problem yet again. Are there any questions from the board for the applicant? No, we're closed anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit for 129 Graniteville Road under 195-8-E subsection 2, with consideration of the letters read into record.
Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck with it.
Hello.
is a busy-looking plan.
That's busy, huh?
There's like a lot of stuff going on.
You could expand that, it's still gonna look as bad, that's just busy. Our next application is 59 Moore Street. Josh Kelly is seeking a special permit under 195.
Main Street.
101 Main Street?
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I'm tired, I wanna go watch football.
Good night.
101 Main Street, Brian and Lucy Sullivan, MP 239226, which I have no idea what that means, is seeking a variance under 195-9 conformity to create a new buildable lot from existing lot and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Let's see what's going on with this one. Yeah.
Ron.
All right. You ready for me? Yep. All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Philip Eliopoulos. I'm an attorney here in Chelmsford at 9 North Road, representing Brian and Lacey O'Sullivan. Do you want a Patriot score?
We got
Are you
one.
taping it? You getting them? All right, good. So we're here tonight before you for a variance for lot area. The property itself is 101 Main Street. It's a corner lot. And you can see it's a little over an acre in size. What we're proposing to do is split the lot up in two to create a lot in the rear that would actually face Burton Lane. As I mentioned, my clients, currently, Lacey O'Sullivan, her parents are the ones that own the lot in question currently. I believe that her mother-in-law is here tonight, so you'll hear from Gina Hunt. Brian and Lacey are currently in Puerto Rico. Brian is in the FBI, and he's done a 3-year stint down in Puerto Rico. And part of the reason he took that sort of hardship role down there is so that he could place his family where he wanted to after his 3-year assignment. So he's going to be able to secure permanent assignment here in the Massachusetts area out of Lowell and Boston. So the purpose of this request is for their family to build a house on this parcel and be close to their family. Lacey grew up in this house. Brian also grew up in Chelmsford. His parents live on Westford Street, still live there. So they have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old, similar to me, and so neither of us are getting much sleep. Brian flew up just for the hearing. Lacey's back in Puerto Rico with the kids, so we apologize that she couldn't be here tonight. We've got a pretty small envelope in which to build this this property. You can see we've outlined where the house could sit in order to meet all of the setback requirements, front, rear, and side setback. Part of what you'll notice is the lot is an odd-shaped lot. It's a corner lot for one. Got an odd configuration. It's more than 3 times long as it is wide. Part of the hardship that we believe exists today is based on the shape of the lot, the way it's configured currently and the way that it's a corner lot. I'll give you some other background information as well. But the house that we propose to build, we've provided some pictures of what we're proposing. Cape-style house. We kind of pulled this out of a book. It won't have a garage that's below level. Everything will be at grade. So where it shows the garage on the side view, that'll really be, more part of the first main level. So it'll be a typical first level with a smaller cape above. Not extremely large, around 3,000 square feet. So it'll certainly fit in with the character of some of the other houses in the neighborhood. The hope is to, if we're successful in getting the variance, we'd have to bring the proposal to the planning board for an R plan. And he put in his assignment request for the Massachusetts area and hopefully start construction maybe sometime in the spring of next year. So, gives you a little bit of flavor. I don't know if you want to have any specific questions. I've got some more to say, but I don't want to keep you guys. I know you've got a late meeting tonight. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Not at this time. I'm going to jump in and read the letters. I have a letter from Center Water District with no comment. I have a letter from the Board of Health with no comment. I have a letter from Engineering. Connection to the municipal sewer system is required. Financial and connection requirements to be coordinated with the DTW Sewer Division. Consideration should be made to install roof drain dry wells. I have a letter from Fire Prevention. It should have another letter attached to it. I have no comments on the fire prevention. I have a letter from Community Development, see attached, and basically see attached is hardship, question mark. I have a letter from Beth Logan of 36 Lovett Lane. Dear Appeals Board, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the meeting on Thursday to comment on the variance request for 101 Main Street. Please accept this email as my comments. First, the property may be listed as Main Street, but it faces Burton Lane. If the lot is split, the new lot will be solely on Burton Lane. Therefore, I believe all discussion should be about how the property fits with Burton Lane. Second, Burton Lane homes all sit on about 1 acre. The property at 101 Main Street is on .98 acres. Dividing this would result in 2 properties of about a half an acre. This does not fit with the community. Even if you were to look at the neighboring houses on the northwest side of Main Street, where the property sits, are also about 1 acre except for 1 home. That home on a small lot has been there since 1951. The other side of Main Street is more mixed, but again, 101 Main Street actually sits on Burton and faces the other homes on the northwest side. I am curious why the Sullivans are looking to split the lot. Actually, GIS states there is a different owner, so I'm not sure if GIS is wrong or there's something else going on. Most of the split lots I have seen in Chelmsford are split just before the owner sells the property. This results in all neighbors dealing with the crowded lots while the requested leaves for a nice, roomy location. Is this the plan for these owners? Unfortunately, there's no way to control this except to reject the request. Finally, I believe that setting the precedent of splitting 1 acre lots into half-acre lots is troubling. There are other lots on Burton, Lovett, Maine, and other nearby areas that could be split. This will significantly change the nature of the neighborhoods. I bought a home in a neighborhood with 1 acre lots for a reason. I know this property well, how the current home sits on the lot, and the lot's wooded portion. I have also spent plenty of time in the suburbs of DC and other cities where people are building large homes on small lots. 2 homes on less than 1 acre would not fit a DC suburb, would fit in a DC suburb, but not in Chelmsford. Please do not allow this variance. Thank you for your time. Beth Logan, 36 Lovett Lane. I have another letter from Dermott and Karen Quinn, 4 Burton Lane. To the Board of Appeals, Dear Chelmsford Zoning Board of Appeals, we are writing you to show our support of the variance application of 101 Main Street by Lacey and Brian O'Sullivan. Brian O'Sullivan presented us with the basic plan of what they intend to do with the lot, should their application be approved. After review of the plan, we offer our complete support of the application with no objections. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me. Karen Quinn and Dermot Quinn. That is the end of my letters.
I have a Question, the one letter was not from Burton, where was that? person?
Lovett Lane. I believe it's in the same neighborhood.
Have it up on the board. Lovett Lane is
if I can, is
right here.
down this neighborhood here.
And actually, she
this
lives
is
right
Burton
along
Lane.
here.
Okay.
This is,
So what I would point out to the board is, when you talk about sort of the neighborhood, the direct abutter to us right now is actually less than half an acre. So you've got a small house there. The property directly across the street is about a half acre, as are most of the houses on that side of the street. So I think when you look at across the street, directly next door, you have, lots that are smaller than what we're proposing these two lots would be. And you can also get a real visual of how really odd-shaped lot this is, how deep and long it is it really compared to any other lots on Burton Lane itself. We feel that, the variance itself won't take away from the neighborhood. I think there are some neighbors here, so I'll hold off, with too much feedback there, but I think what we hope you'll find is that it won't detract from the neighborhood, or negatively impact the neighborhood or the town. There's also, which we can talk about a little bit as well, in addition to the shape of the lot itself, the courts have fairly recently identified what they call a safety issue as a substantial hardship. There was a particular case in Salem, Mass, where the Board of Appeals granted a variance for the town to build it wasn't the town, it was the marina, to build a boathouse so that they could remove boats out of the water. And the appeals court upheld the variance basically under the theory that the boathouse provided a safety for the boats to take them out of the water, and that safety concerns are something that can also be considered a hardship. Given my client's position with the FBI and his assignments that leave him away from home, certainly the safety of the people that will use that will reside in that house, his child, his two children, and his wife, being close to their parents, is another factor that the board could consider in its view of hardship. If you want to know that case, it's Furlong v. Zoning Board of Appeals in Salem.
really with that, Sean?
And basically, they found that the safety of the boats was something that the courts could
Needed
consider.
to be considered. So it's dimensional, topographical, financial, and safety now?
Yes.
I think I'll open this up to the audience and see if we have any questions or comments regarding this application.
Hi, my name is Gina Hunt. I live at 101 Main Street. It's my property that's going to be divided. It's my daughter, hopefully, and my son-in-law, Brian, that will live next door to me with 2 of my 4 grandkids. I've been at 101 Main Street since before there was a Burton Lane, so I've been there for over 35 years. I absolutely think by adding this new home to the property, not only for me, just to have my daughter close by, and her family, will really kind of finish off Burton Lane. I mean, yes, there's a set of woods there, but a nice another home tucked right there really kind of finishes off that cul-de-sac. So I certainly approve and hope that you will too.
Thank you.
Hi, Tammy Arena, 3 Burton Lane. I would be the direct abutter, and I support it, and we are for it. And when I built my house 17 years ago, they wouldn't let us be one, and that's one reason was all the frontage. So we were the first house, but they didn't let us be one. They gave us 3. So we support it. Yes. Yes. So they said we can't because there's enough frontage to build a house. So we were 3. So just I support it and hope you approve it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken LaValle. I've lived on Burton Lane for 30 years now with my wife Susan. Our children have come and gone, they're grown now, but we live directly across the street on Burton Lane from where this house is proposed to be built. We are wholeheartedly in favor of this house being in that location, because I will tell you that if you were there and you actually envisioned this site and saw how this would look when this house is built, it would really complement the street, as Gina points out. I think it's going to add, to be a great addition to our neighborhood, and I think that even if you looked at it from our perspective, when we look out our window, what we see now is a wooded area. I think this would make this a much better thing to see, so to speak, and I think that it certainly fits into that footprint. There's no doubt in my mind that this would, I'm not concerned at all about being on a half-acre lot. That would be a non-issue for my wife and I. So we're very much in favor. We've been neighbors with the Hunts now for 30 years. They're wonderful people. They've been great neighbors, and we welcome the addition to the neighborhood. So we hope you vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean-Pierre Lambert, 91 Main Street. I'm one of the major abutters, and I'm here in favor of Brian Lacey's request. I have no problem with it. I've lived there all my life, so I've seen the neighborhood change. It'd be nice if they get a chance to start a new life there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Comment from the board?
Just a question, so your intent is to divide the one lot into two taxable separate lots now?
Correct. Correct. So the existing house would stay, that's where the Hunts live. We'd build a
This would be
new
its own
house
identity
in the
now.
footprint, correct.
Okay.
And most likely it would be one Burton Lane, it sounds like. So the town,
They saved you the number.
way back when, was thinking ahead.
Phil,
Yeah.
I don't understand the boat deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
I don't
relevant.
understand the
Yeah,
relevance
can you
to that.
explain that?
Yeah, so basically, the courts, when we think about hardship, the courts have typically looked at shape of the lot, topography of the lot, the soil conditions. They also basically came up with the thought that there's also safety issues can give rise to a hardship. And if the board finds any risk to property or person, like in this case, they said there would be a risk to the boats not to have this building that could pull them in and out of the water. The court found that you could look at risk to building or people,
As a
if there
safety
is,
concern for
as
the
a safety
equipment.
concern.
So they're correlating that safety with the safety of his family while he's gone, to be closer to their own
As
family.
as an FBI agent, certainly there's more risk in that role than as a lawyer or,
I'd have to say
I kind of
from,
thought that was it, but I didn't
Yeah.
see the correlation.
I'd have to say from retired military myself and my spouse getting ready to leave for 12 months on Tuesday.
Yeah.
that, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch.
well, it's, for example, they were separated for almost a year recently when he was on an assignment. She couldn't be with him. And so, when you're gone for that long, I think it's at least another factor the board certainly could consider in addition to the odd shape of that lot, the significant length as it relates to depth. So just one more thing for the board to consider, that's all. We can protect boats, we can also look to protect people and other property.
Any questions, Steve? Nancy? Any further comment from the audience? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I will make that motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take this up right now.
If I'm not mistaken, it has been the precedent of this board not to subdivide to a non-conforming lot area.
Actually, and I did research this a little, I was not,
Other than 40B.
so I'll continue. Groton Road, I'm gonna say it was 185 and 186. We got sitting that night, I think Charlie was, and they did subdivide a pre-existing lot into two half-acre lots. I currently have 2 homes on them, and they are for sale. One is now for sale. I think one has been sold. So it's not without precedent.
When was that?
John, do you know the address of
I don't
Groton Road, the 2 homes?
know that I-
79 and,
Was it 179?
yeah, 177.
When was that?
And
How long ago?
what was that, what was around that particular, because I don't recall it, because
It was,
I do recall several other cases.
yeah, no,
where
this one was in
gone that
particular,
way.
they were under common ownership, and, but they were 2 separate lots. The
Groton Road
hardsh-
was not 2 separate lots. I had looked at it with the intent to purchase
They were
prior to
pulled
this.
together for zoning purposes, so they were, but they were under common ownership, and they said the only, I think it was Katie Enright that presented, and I believe she stated that the hardship was for lack of having a building, and she showed that it looked exactly like every other lot on Main Street. It was Main Street, was it Main Street? No, it was Groton.
Wait a second, yeah.
I have the decision, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like it.
Yeah, it might refresh. Yeah, I didn't sit on this, so I don't know if I ever saw the
It
decision.
was a similar thing. It was basically, there was a 1 acre lot like ours that they split into 2 half-acre lots on Groton back in,
Other
I think it was
circumstance.
December of 2016.
So the voting members were Jacqueline Martin, Bud Shagnon, Mark Carrata,
Yeah.
Charlie Wojcik, and Nancy Morency. So it was 177 and 179.
That's the one.
But as I recall, there were other circumstances around that. It wasn't just a straight subdivide.
It was an empty lot as well.
The house was taken down on that lot.
The house was taken down and 2 new ones were built, but one
Right.
lot.
I'll read the facts and the
Okay.
findings, that
Yep.
may
Yeah.
clarify some
Yeah.
things. The site is located in the RB Single Residence District, which I think this is an RB as well, and consists of 70,006 square feet as shown on the assessor's map, 117, 4213, and 17, 4212 book. I'll leave that out. The applicant proposes to split the existing lot with a structure into 2 non-conforming lots for single-family dwellings. The findings. The proposal will have a positive impact on the neighborhood, and the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw will be met. For the aforementioned reason will not substantially derogate from the intent and purpose of the bylaw. 2, the structure will not be detrimental to the neighborhood in the respect that is consistent with the intent of the zoning in the district and the character of the neighborhood. Ms. Martin made a motion to grant the variance under 195-9 according to the plan submitted by Mr. Wojcik seconded. The motion passed 5-0. So that's a precedent. I was not sitting for that. I was surprised by that precedent, but by that decision. I think I had a conversation with Charlie after, but that was
Yeah, I
the
read-
decision of the board.
Did that say
Would anyone like to read
70,000
that?
square feet, Brian?
Yeah. It's a 70,000.
I think, yeah, 70,000.
I remember the drawings, but
I could pull up the lots.
yeah, it was a direct match within the neighborhood. It was almost identical to every other lot there.
Yeah, you're right.
I remember it, but I thought that there was something, another circumstance that was,
A different, that's the only one that popped to mind for me, but there
Because-
may be others that I'm not thinking
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
one was
Yep.
bigger than the other. So
Yeah.
this isn't updated with I can probably pull up the, let me do this. Oh, no, but still.
of. Yeah, I think those are the 2. One, not that one, the next one. Those
one.
2,
That one and this one.
yeah, and 77.
So they weren't.
So those 2 were joined as one at some point?
Yes, because
Yes,
they didn't need
yes, it was
zoning.
considered a single lot, and it was subdivided by the Board of Appeals.
The variance was approved, and then they came in for an A&R. Oh, no, they have 2 separate lots, but they were joined for zoning purposes. Common ownership.
So they were already separate lots.
Yeah, they were
whereas
already separate
here,
lots then.
It hasn't been a separate
But for
lot.
zoning purposes, because they don't meet, they're pre-existing non-conforming, and even with the 70,000, well, they're pulled together for zoning purposes, even though they do have 2 tax bills, if they're under common ownership. That's just how it works.
Right, but it was already listed separate, there's already identified as separate lots. The only thing that made it was his
Right.
common ownership, whereas
Right.
this one is just one lot.
Yeah.
And they're asking to
That's
be
what it-
split
that's
into
exactly
two.
what it is.
Once a lot
Whereas
becomes
this
conjoined,
one's-
it is a single lot. I mean, if you have two lots and you own them by one entity, that's a single lot. It doesn't have any
It doesn't matter if you
relief
get
or,
two tax bills, none of that matters, it's.
when they're conjoined, they
zoning
become one
purposes.
by law.
Right,
So to split it again would take an action of the Board of Appeals.
No, right.
correct.
So if I buy my neighbor's house, it becomes one lot?
Yes.
With a separate structure that may have another,
Yeah, that's a
Has a
different.
structure on it.
yeah, so that, at that point, it's not a lot, it's
Okay.
a property, or I don't know what the definition would be.
I think,
If you
I
bought your
think-
neighbor's land, it would be conjoined.
Okay.
And I
and you
think
could
Philip
not-
stated this wasn't part of the Burton Lane subdivision, so this
No.
is a much older lot.
Much older, yeah. It pre-existed Burton Lane.
So it's short of dividing the lot, I mean, I can see you make frontage, so it makes all the other, it's not asking for any other variances, right?
It makes all the dimensional requirements.
No, kind of.
I mean, I think it's a little unique in the sense that it's such a long lot anyways, it really, and to that, I forgot that young lady's
back to the
comment that it was,
GIS.
actually has a number attached to it. I think the intent might have been that at some point it would be built, but that's a bit of a stretch, I don't know how that would work. But I don't know what the board thinks about this one. Is a site walk appropriate? Do you feel you have the information you need from
No, I
the
want to see this.
visuals there?
That's as close as I can get it.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you back it out a little bit?
Oh, sure.
I just want to see the neighborhood more.
Want me to turn off the,
No,
Yeah,
that's
take
okay.
out
Photo?
the topography.
If you want
it
to.
shows the lot lines better if you
Yeah.
turn off the photo.
And that's a long lot. Direct abutter
Burton and
there.
Main Street looks pretty, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Main Street address,
Yeah.
so.
But the
along
new
Main
lot
Street-
would become Burton.
Yeah, it would be one part.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can see that smaller over here, but if you look on that side, they're all pretty well spaced. If you look like cutting that in half would,
The Main Street ones are lacking frontage. They're all pre-existing non-conforming, even if they have the area.
Can I make a motion to do a site walk or something?
If you'd like to do that and that's appropriate, I'm for it. Sure, I would like to make a motion to do a site walk or something.
Or something.
You'll have to,
Maybe a site
do
dance?
two before the next meeting,
Yeah,
or,
right.
or do
Right.
it on a Saturday, or.
Oh, at your
This
own-
is, I think, more of a drive-by than that
Yeah,
other
okay.
property, so I'm comfortable saying,
We
well,
didn't have to schedule
everyone could
anything.
go out and look at
Cruise
it.
the
We
neighborhood.
continue to November 1st and consider the application. It might be worth a sidewalk. I mean, it's obviously a very unique lot shape.
Mhm.
I think that removing that half wouldn't cause any detriment to the existing lot, not that there's a concern, they're in favor, and certainly overwhelming support of the immediate abutters, whereas there's a woman on Lovett Lane is a bit out of the picture for this. My concern is more the abutters than someone on Lovett Lane, but. Like to make a motion or something?
Yes. Site walk,
I can't make a motion.
at our
so-
own.
I wrote down drive-by site walk,
Drive-by site walk whenever we feel like it, before the next meeting.
sometime before the next meeting.
Is
It's-
So you want to make a motion to continue to November
That was the worst
1st
something.
with the ability for us
For
to do
ability for
a
a site
site
walk.
walk at our own convenience.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
Just like that.
just like that.
Nancy, you get the
See,
motion.
she's an attorney. She got
I
right
know.
through the paperwork.
That's how you do it, Nancy.
So I'd like to second that
something
motion
like
or
that.
something?
sure, I'll second.
By Jackie, all in favor?
Sure.
We'll continue this to November 1st and try to resolve it at that point.
If, my client may or may not be able to come back up for that, so if he can't, I just hope the board will excuse his absence, but we'll be here.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least.
No, this isn't.
No, we got two more.
We got two more.
So what, is it halftime?
It was 14-0 last time I looked.
It's 14-0.
14-3.
Okay.
Just saying.
Are they losing?
No,
No, they're winning.
they are not
We're all winning
losing.
tonight.
Edelman's back. Come on, man.
Yeah, Vinatieri missed one field goal already.
So we are up to
Here's the
59 Moore Street. Josh Kelly is seeking a special permit under 195 6.1 to construct a limited accessory apartment, 195 8E2, which will increase the square footage of a 30% allowable and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. Good evening.
Good evening. Josh Kelly, I'm with JK Development. I'm here for the clients, the homeowners of 59 Moore Street. They're looking to build an accessory in-law apartment. They currently own the residence, and they're looking to have their daughter move in and reside in the main residence, and they'd like to live in the accessory apartment. The proposal is for 750 square foot single story with a full basement. Access from the existing structure would be through a 3-season porch. It'd be a common access point to get from the daughter's residence into the accessory apartment. When you take out the stairs and the common.
So you're below the 750 threshold?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Do you have plans and elevations, Colleen?
Trouble finding things, yes, I do.
Dimensional
Yeah, it's just-
concerns.
I have them if you don't.
No dimensions on the plan.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I'm
Box
having
that
trouble
says-
finding anything
I don't
here.
even see it.
There's a box
Can
that says
assess.
proposed addition.
What did
Am
I
I
do with the plans and
Is
everything?
there's,
Yeah,
59 Moore Street, yeah.
I
Yeah,
have hard copies if you need them.
that's all I saw.
Yeah, so
More. Maybe it's in the survey.
What are we looking for? You're looking for the plans?
The square footage.
yeah, all we see is just an envelope,
Hashed,
not even,
hashed mark.
just a setback really for the site.
Well.
You guys wanna see the plan?
Yeah, I don't, for some reason don't have
the
them in here.
restriction.
That's odd. Let me, go back to this.
I have 2 sets.
not taking out.
Existing proposed.
So trying to keep with the character and the scale of the house in the neighborhood, there would be no obvious entry point or anything you wouldn't notice. It would look like a regular part of the house. So the entrance would be on the back side of the house. It would be up from the end of the driveway. There'd be a walkway that actually would just, there's an existing walkway there now that goes to their back deck. It would just continue on and go into the new entry from the rear.
18
by 17.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, here's.
I did with those plans.
26 by 26 by
Right, and then we
39.
have to remove,
You take out the staircase that goes to the basement and the staircase that goes from the common area into the accessory and then the common area itself.
so we have,
But he's saying take this out.
it's a 26682,
It's
so it's a
not 26
4-foot
up here
stair,
either, so.
120 feet,
This looks,
So
what is this?
26 times 21.
and then this is like a
540
4-foot
Yeah.
stair.
And
12, so 16 feet
You're there.
naked,
It helped.
36, 878, yep.
Oh, you
Just
won't.
tell him. Some Marcus didn't.
It's below.
52 before.
John comes up with
742, good work.
What was it?
That's what I got, yeah.
742.
749?
CAD doesn't lie.
Both good though,
748,
right?
hey.
So, you know what, I didn't have, Sean, was the width of the stair, I guess that it's 4 of them.
Is it-
Definitely was guessing.
When Brian does math.
I use my
You do all right.
The calculator's way smarter than I am. That's being resolved. I'm going to, I don't know if I have any letters. Looking at this, I'll read these letters. Engineering has no comments. Board of Health has no comments. Chelmsford Fire Prevention. Three members of the board, this department is concerned that there's more than one dwelling on a property and an occupancy should be identifiable from the street. This office will require 2 mailboxes identifying the property as 59 Moore Street and 59A Moore Street. The applicant shall submit an application for the address to Chelmsford 911 Committee and its coordinator, Town Clerk Tricia Druez. Ms. Poppin is not interested in official change of address being recorded in the deed. It is only our intent to distinguish this home to emergency responders. The limited accessory apartment in the existing house shall be brought up to the current fire alarm code according to the Massachusetts State Building Code. The applicant is advised to contact the Fire Prevention Office prior to submitting plans. This office would approve of this plan with these conditions, and I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully, Dan Kostofis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. That is the end of my letters. We have a letter from the building department. Please be advised, as the building commissioner for the town of Chelmsford, a zoning review has been requested by the applicant, Josh Kelly, 59 Moore Street, to construct a limited accessory apartment under 195-6.1, which will increase the overall square footage by more than the 30% allowable. This office has denied the request and seeks the proper approvals for special permits or variances from the board or any other approvals deemed necessary. So we do have 2 requests in front of us, the limited accessory and the 30%. Okay.
Yeah, the footprint is roughly, I want to say it's 1,200 square feet. So we'd be going for 750 plus more.
Just under 2,000. I'm going to open this up to comments from the audience, if there are any. Seeing none.
I'd like to make a motion to close the
Further
public
questions
hearing.
before we close it? Anyone have any questions of the applicant? Jack Rabbit?
Yes, that's me.
Seeing none, and entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Or something.
No something.
I'll second it.
Second by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Concerns from the board?
I would make a motion to approve the special permit for 59 Moore Street under 195-6.1 to construct a LAA and 195-8-E2 for the square footage increase with applicable letters as read in to the record.
I'll second it.
Second by Nancy. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Opposed? None. Unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Good luck with it.
So,
There we go.
you send me a copy of that?
You want
Thank
your papers? You want your
Plans,
papers?
sir?
Want your plans back?
Oh, yeah, plans.
I'd give them away. They don't allow them. Holy
Those
cow.
plans were part of that
I think they
application.
grew the tree themselves.
I know I had plans, I don't know where they are in my system, but
Yeah, because those plans should be part of that
Hey, Groton
application.
Road, I am not gonna try to pronounce their name, but
before I give you the
Kwong?
decision.
Let's make sure.
Said yours.
Zhao Chung,
It should have been read
is
out.
how I was told to pronounce
My
it.
apologies. Seeking a special permit under 195-5D33 to conduct a massage service establishment in the CD Commerce Business District and any other relief deemed necessary. We'll clarify for the board that any massage parlor in town comes before us. This is not an exception to the rule or a variance of sorts. It is a special permit to approve that any massage parlor is required to do. So it's not the location, it doesn't matter where it is,
Gotcha.
just for clarification.
Good evening. Greg Halladina, 56 Central Square, for the applicant Jiao Chung. And Jiao wishes to open a business in Vinyl Square. Specifically, it's at 2A Groton Road. Landlord who owns the property, it was Donna Reddy. Her and her late husband, Dennis Reddy, had owned it. Everyone is prepared to enter upon a lease, but because this is a massage service establishment, it does require a special permit. The business would be named Rosemary Spa. It's in a CD district in Vinyl Square, so this is a permitted use with the special permit that we're asking for. Jiao is a licensed massage therapist. She has her license from the Massachusetts Division of Professional Licensure. She tells me it's in good standing. Her license has never been suspended or revoked. She has no criminal record. She's presently working in a massage business in Burlington, the Chai Body Works, I believe it is, and she wishes to open her own business. She's hoping to do so in November. The property itself is on the second floor of the 2 Groton Road building. It has 4 rooms and a bath. It comes with parking. The landlord has 2 dedicated spaces for her business in the back of the building. There's also street parking in the neighborhood, and there's public parking across from Vinyl Square. It's the site of the former Salem 5 office that had been a tenant for a long time. They vacated about 3 months ago, and this will be the first new tenant in that particular unit. It's probably, the footprint of the building is 40 by 40, so with the stairwell to go up there, it's probably less than 700 square feet, the unit that she would propose to rent. Signage, there were 2 signs that Salem 5 had, one in the front of the building and one on the side, and the landlord has indicated that she could replace the Salem 5 signs with her own signage.
I think she's gonna have to apply, I mean, the 2 signs she has to make it through a process for that.
Yeah, she would have to do that, but this is what the landlord is permitting, is what I was mentioning. And we don't believe this would have any greater impact on the neighborhood than the prior business did. If granted the special permit, of course, she would operate at the location, but only after obtaining from the Board of Health. There's a permit that they have to issue as well. And obviously, there's regulations you have to comply with that the Board of Health has promulgated, so that would be the next step. But in order to get the Board of Health permit for her to operate her business, she needs to be in compliance with zoning at her proposed location, and that does require a special permit from this board.
Regarding the sign, she'll have to, regardless of what was there, maybe you can clarify.
Yes, regardless of what was there, they will need to apply for a sign permit, even if it's a different place. We will have to go out and take a look at it.
Okay.
It's also gonna have to need to file for a change of use. There's a bank before you're going to a service.
For the signage or for the?
No, for the occupancy.
But as I understood it, this is a use as of,
It's a
it's a permitted use with a special, with a board
The use
of.
of the building was something different than what it is going to be. So
It's
you need
commer-
to
no,
act-
but,
Okay.
well, we'll talk to you
Okay.
afterwards. If there's something else you need to apply for, we'll
Okay.
handle that
They'll go
after.
not through us, but through
Right.
through your.
All right. I thought you were talking about more relief.
It's
From the, okay.
exciting.
Yeah, all I'm addressing tonight is the special permit that the
No,
board
I
has
just,
entered.
I didn't mean to get off track here, I just.
No, but you brought up the signs too, and I think
And you
it's
said there were
smart that
2,
you
and I-
Yeah,
understand
what
that
I'm mentioning is just
that
for
too.
purposes of your special permit.
Yep.
This is what the landlord has indicated, they would be willing to accept what was there before, and obviously it'd have to be in compliance with the zoning bylaw.
This time I have, letters, I have no letters, what did I do?
We don't have, there's no massages over there already, right?
I do have letters, right, I'm surprised. Community Development has no concerns. Engineering has no comments. Would you get evidence on no concerns, sticker?
He's not
didn't.
doing
Finally
comments
gave
this
up.
time. Did I change it for him?
Somebody,
might have
yeah,
went in and
his
changed
say,
my
he
form
must have-
on me.
He must have printed his own. It says no comments on every one, he writes no comments.
He doesn't like the
Board of Health has
concerns.
no comments. Chelmsford Fire Prevention has a letter. The fire prevention officer reviewed the proposal and required the applicant submit to fire prevention inspection prior to granting of the occupancy permit and annually thereafter. As with any new occupancy in the town of Chelmsford, the business will be required to maintain compliance with the Massachusetts State Fire Safety Code, 527 CMR 1 at all times. This officer has no further concerns on the project and asks the board to make this letter part of the approval process. Respectfully, Dan Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. Bruce Harper has no comments, though a long letter. The applicant will follow the rules and regulations of the North Chelmsford Water District. Sincerely, Bruce J. Harper, Sr.
That's the long letter.
He says he has no comments, but he has an asterisk next to the no comments.
You should,
So,
you should make him up a stamp.
they're tough, that Water District up
Yeah.
there. And that is the end of my letters. Are there any comments or concerns from the audience this evening regarding this application? Seeing none,
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
And I'll make a motion to second it.
second, all in favor?
I'd
we can
like
take this
to
up and
make a
discuss
motion.
necessary. Accept the motion at this point?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit for 195-5D33 to conduct a massage service at 2A Groton Road.
I second the
Seconded
motion.
by Jackie.
Jamie?
Jamie, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Jackie was in my reading. She was our old person who was sitting there.
You're past, not old.
Yes, not old.
Previous.
A past member, not an old member. Very true, Vision.
As long as you don't call me old.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, nor Jackie. Nor Jackie. I don't want to get beat up by her either. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thanks.
Right, one last thing.
When you do that, though.
One last thing?
Minutes. Did everybody read them? Are they okay?
This meeting officially adjourned.
I did make some
Gotta do
corrections.
minutes, but I
Yeah, I
didn't read
think we
any
got
minutes.
it.
I have no comments. That was a presentation.
Yeah.
So we can't do it then?
And we might have we have to do the minutes before we adjourn.
The first ones, I did make the corrections that you suggested at the last ones, the August 2nd. September 6th, those are new.
When did Jacqueline resign?
I had her,
Did she finally officially
She
resign?
officially resigned. I
'Cause
think
I
that Jamie did replace her.
so,
Renew.
Well, it just says she's absent on August 2nd, so I didn't know if it was after that. That's my only question.
you know what, I think you're right.
The counselor.
I will go back and check that, but I think she didn't do the reappointment, which usually happens June 31st.
Yeah, because
Or June
August,
30th.
it doesn't even have me listed at all. August is absent.
I can't keep track of
We have
dates.
a motion to
I will
approve
check that.
minutes with the corrections of attendance and board members. Stretch, but I want to go see something in this game.
I know. Go, go.
They're just about to score.
And if I hurry, I can see that.
Score! It's done.
Yeah.
21-3.
Alrighty.
All in favor?
What was
Aye.
Approving the minutes
Approving the
Oh.
minutes.
with
Yes.
corrections as noted for attendance and applicants, board members.
Board members.
And a motion to adjourn.
I'm abstaining.
No, it's September 6th, there's two sets there.
Oh, there's two sets.
Two sets.
Just real quick, I mean, I did catch a lot of errors in that one, so
You did?
I tried to fix what I saw.
I refrained from looking at
Like
that.
never figuring out who seconded a motion. I skipped over that a couple of times.
I can never remember.
But now I have my, now I know what I gotta do to get my in-laws rebuilt.
Buy the property next to you.
Move to Lowell.
No, I can't do that. Thanks.
Don't have
Move
him
to
sit
Lowell.
on the board.
Don't have him sit on the board? Move to, I got a nice piece, corner lot. I won't change my frontage. It's gonna go over my extended garage. Trust me, I didn't have to have my mother. She's not old enough for this.
Principal, what was the
Wait for me, I'll walk out with you.
address for the ownership for?
What's that?
It didn't help much.
No,
It
it
just
didn't.
added noise.
Yeah,
The address of the one.
it's
by
stuffy out
the
there
old,
tonight, and they turned the heat on. Everybody had heat on. What are you nuts? It's gonna be so
Should there be a rule that we can't
Yeah, tomorrow's gonna
continue
be cool,
more than
but-
like 3 things to the
Yeah.
next meeting? 'Cause
Well, do we have any stuff additionally right now for November 1st? Because we continued a lot.
We continued
One-
half of
Yeah, but it's
September.
not much. I've stopped taking
Hey, Sean,
applications
whenever
this.
you're like, you can.
Four.
All set? Yeah, you're all set.
All right.
You don't have to worry about the minutes or anything.
Folks all have a nice
Nice
night.
little jacket
Take
and
care now.
everything, look at him.
We'll dismiss the well-dressed building commissioner.
The new building commissioner.
Have a great night.
Bye. Continued 5.
Is it? I thought it was 6.
Is it 6?
Yeah, it's just about halftime.
There's Sunset,
Not bad.
Pine View, Morose,
Yeah.
Commercial's on Thursday night, huh?
the
Oh, was it
Princeton
8:30?
Apartments.
8:20, yeah.
8:20, yeah, that's what gets us the access.
Oh, my.
Didn't Princeton Apartments get? They-
Yes, that's continued, and then
Dunstable.
Main Street Dunstable continued. I don't have that
Yeah,
written.
because that was the misadvertised one where he was.
Square footage.
Okay.
He did footprint instead of square
Dunstable's the one
footage.
that we, isn't that the
Was
one that?
Yeah,
advertised wrong.
251 Dunstable, I gotta re-advertise.
Oh, who's the other one on Dunstable with the,
He's been in a folder
Turner,
for
what do you
like
need?
5 months, and so maybe
What do
the
you
plan
need?
might have changed.
nothing, I guess we need someone to make a motion to accept the minutes.
From September 6th.
September 6th, right? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 6th, 2018.
I wasn't here.
I didn't read them.
Just take me a second so we can get out of here.
Well, it's always after the
Oh.
vote.
Yeah, they look good. Okay, yeah, I'll second the motion.
You got a second, all in favor?
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Yay.
Thank you.